JDG right now. Zaya gone, Kalista gone. They really want to make sure that they're putting the herd on this bottom side of the map. They leave things like the Maokai still up and available though, if they want to try and let that through. Oriana, and also another big one for Knight in that mid lane. Although he has only played it once here at the World Championship, Knight is such a strong mid laner. I'm curious to see if they will let that one through.
Well, they're not going to let the Jarvan through. That is the first bit of homework that they have done. Very happy to see J4 removed, especially after yesterday, but we won't dwell on that for too much longer. First pick available. I think the Metal Ballerina sounds like a good idea. Oriana going to be locked in. And now KT to answer back. You know, Jace Maokai is something that is available.
I do really appreciate the Nico ban. I think that one of the big things that consistently teams have been able to do is...
Halo guys, welcome semuanya. Mana Peter? Nah, ini dia. Pet.
What is really interesting is that KT is continuing the prioritization.
Jam berapa nih mulai? Jam 3:08 startnya ternyata. 8 menit.
I mean, this is also one of the things that JDG have been waiting to go for, which is very elusive. I've probably been missing just going back towards that. It's something that was a big pick at MSI, but now starting to at least rotate to JDG at the World Championship. I'm curious if they will just take the Maokai go and get, hey, look, we want that strong jungler here for Maokai or for Knavi, or are they more willing to let the Maokai slip through, go back towards something like a Wukong, which is something that has been a big...
Ajak Gop dong. Gopnya live anjir, nggak mau gue ngajak kalau dia live. Gue yang kena marah Rito coy.
It is going to be the Rakan locked away here for the Rakan. Zeri, something that we've seen many times. Of course, Zeri pretty happy to hyper carry in a late game. Command Protect going to be there. And of course, the peel that you have available as the Rakan. Certainly fitting into a JDG style team composition. Now, KT going to round this one out. They can look for some sort of pseudo counterpick into the Oriana if they would like to, or get a strong top laner. And Jack Sejuani, that's a gauntlet to be thrown.
And it is...
Zeri dari kemarin nggak ada yang pick ya, baru ini pick Zeri nih guys. KT win, iya kah? Ya kali KT win, orang yang lagi dielu-elukan itu JDG anjir.
Kemarin sempat di band-band
Apanya? Oh, ya pas di grup stage kan sering banyak yang pakai, seinget gue.
Oh, yang kemarin juga di
ada di band ya.
Ngabisin ADC-nya Zeri di band.
Vote open core. Bentar lagi kita open vote.
We'll have to see what the answer is at the moment. KT trying to focus down that jungle. I imagine it'll be a Maokai ban to follow here.
And something that KT, I think, have looked the best at out of any team in the LCK is
Kesian tarik katanya.
side lanes. 1-3-1 or 1-4 is something that they were really good at domestically. And
They were
I think
the
it's
only team that could do it, basically, in the LCK successfully.
And it relies on two things. One, what is BDD
Ada
going to play
Nahdi
here?
bang login.
If it's something like a Talia, or even though we haven't seen it,
Ayo
like his
main.
Twisted Fate, something that allows him to have big
Nobar bang.
ability to access the rest of the map.
Kita kan main di Works bang.
But I don't think those champions are necessarily that strong right now. We did see that was what LNG tried to do as well, and that's why I love this Talia ban, because that's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, the Talia's going to be banned away. They're looking for LeBlanc. I was expecting Lehens to actually grab a champion here and then look for the counter pick for BDD. That is what the consideration is looking like right now, although, you know, these are just flashing some Lehens champions because the Silas angle is amazing.
I was about to say, I'd much rather see them go for something for BDD here.
Ya masih bagus.
Kind of look at what the rest of the composition from JDG is going to be before you lock in the support. But I think at the moment, Lulu is a great answer. Scales well with the Aphelios.
Sejuani, let's go. Sejuani vlog ini cuy, percaya sama gue.
Push there in that lane, and as we saw from their quarterfinals thus far, bot lane
Sama
priority
turun nonton pasti
Hah?
judulnya ngevlog ya.
as we've gone deeper
Emang?
into the tournament.
Kan udah gue ganti kan?
Lulu gives you the
Udah pakai KT roster kok itu.
Basically two choices
JDG
here for
thumbnailnya.
now, right? It's Renekton or Cassante. Cassante
Oh, biar aja.
would allow you to have a more reliable front line, but Renekton, especially depending on what will be picked up here for Kanavi, is going to have a much bigger impact and allows you to actually push back towards that top 2. We'll see what Kanavi obviously has a complete champion ocean, so a million things that he can go for. We'll see what he actually ends up locking in, but I do think that trying to contest KT towards that top side is a good idea. And this is something that Rel Rakan combination going to allow JDG to play the style that they love.
I think as well, you didn't really have a huge amount of options there for Kanavi. Like if you go towards the Lee Sin,
JDG
not the
tuh tim
best lane
satunya
setup,
Cina
yes,
ya?
Renekton, but it's against the Jax who has the counter strike. You're going to be losing out in the 2v2 bot lane, so you don't really have things to look for the invade like the likes of a Belvet. So I do like the idea of, hey, I'm going to take a step back and try to engage, but
Akali lagi.
on the Akali, not necessarily one of our more notable Akali
Ral mulu. Ral emang bagus banget sih di jungle anjir.
just really love this champion. BDD, more of those control mages just in general.
Ini main meta WildRift kan, ini pakai Lulu nih.
Recons, BDD is a player that can play
Lu
around these
Nikonya
champions
biasa aja, ada
exceptionally well.
damage.
I thought that the Silas angle was looking good. I feel like that helped block away the potential Maokai pickup. And then going for this now to have all of that permafrost synergy.
Suara volume ininya udah pas belum guys? Suara casternya. Apa kekecilan?
Roller tuh dari kate kan tadi.
Enggak, dari Genji.
Oh iya.
And in this way, you're going to try and play more through the side of pressure, try and get Keen and BDD ahead with that Sejuani.
But that's the thing. I mean, trying to play for a skirmish on the top side against Renekton, against the Rel or Oriana is going to be incredibly difficult. So I am curious to see how they're going to try and play this out, especially because like the bread and butter of JDG has been playing through a strong mid jungle. When you've got the opportunity to get the push with the Oriana and then lean into potential invades, that could be an issue that you're going to struggle with here. And I want to see what KT are going to do to make sure Kuz has an okay jungle clear.
Yeah, it feels like, in theory, this could work against the JDG style of play. We've seen this attempted, even at this tournament, and it has not been enough to actually get over the line when push comes to shove. They're just too good at it, and I think, like you were illustrating, it's mid-jungle, it's even top jungle as well, which is going to be very important in this game, given the early game reputation.
Voting kor, kakak dukung siapa?
Onto the rift for game one of our third
JDG CN.
We're in Busan. The weather was a little bit rainy this morning. However, see what is actually going to come to pass here on this map. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive Braum W emote, the best emote created. Almost in the history of League of Legends.
It does feel like getting to cast this series where you lads
Skenario-nya nanti nih tim fight
for
set
JDG,
akan
it's a
kena
case
5
of
orang,
we're going to see another
diangkat
block
di
on
ulti
the
Rel,
road
di
towards
ulti
that
Oriana.
road, which has been, I think, what a lot of people are expecting from JDG,
JDG lebih
especially
gampang
against
kalau mau
their
yang
biggest answer, or biggest rival in that, which is Gen G. But on the opposite side, if not, like KT taking down the behemoth that is JDG, getting into quarterfinals, the first quarterfinals since 2018, potentially pushing even further than that for the first time in the organization's history. This is such a sick series with so much riding from both sides.
And what would a golden road be without it being paved with his former mid laner in BDD
Layoutnya,
and
kenapa
his
layoutnya?
former bottom lane teammate in
Oh iya, kepotong-potong ya?
I mean, for Ruler, I think that this is a very important one. The rest of JDG is just another matchup.
Dah.
And then there's a couple more to go.
Oriana laku ya, baut anjir. Hampir selalu dipakai.
Using some counter strikes, getting some shots down here on this top side. Of course, the Jax matchup level 1, pretty good into Renekton.
Yeah, you're really looking to try and abuse the fact that the first like 3-4 levels you actually do have a lead into the Renekton. Try and get control of the wave early, shove them in, get an early recall, because you're gonna need every advantage that you can get. Because as soon as you get to like the later stages, you know, level 5, 6.
Besok nonton nggak? Kalau besok nonton.
Buset. Flash from aiming here, and JDG say that is gonna be enough, and you can understand it completely.
Yeah, but look at where Kanavi is at the moment. He's completely cleared out his bot side and wants to go for invade onto this bottom half of the map. So may not be a dive that they're completely looking for, although Knight is hovering towards bot side to try and support that. It may just be a split map that we're working with, which for Amy is an absolute disaster.
Gua di 238. Lu berapa, Pit?
sama.
21, 22, 23, 24,
onto 369.
45, 46.
Here in Busan,
masa depan, Joe.
starting to raise their voices.
50, 51, 52, sama lah.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't think there's a window here because Cuz instead is, they seem to be aware that Kanavi's probably taking their bot side, so Cuz wants to just ensure that he can actually keep up and farm, clear the jungle.
Kali ini lihat diri di awal
As long as
galak.
aiming and Lahens don't take too much damage in trading, they should be alright. Even with the flash being down, especially because Lahens still has his heal available.
I will say though, something that we saw a lot was like these potential dives coming through from the likes of MSI, but I think when you've got the Lulu there, it's like, hey, you've got a Rakan who the second he goes in, gets polymorphs, regrets his life choices, and then one of them
kalau bunda di Rakan kena ngokap juga rasanya akan mati deh.
And let missing and
Itu
Rotor actually
namanya
crash his
showing
wave
dominance,
successfully,
Bab.
rather than it being stalled out for aiming and
Yang
landing.
bot lane musuh ketar-ketir. Itu trik pro player.
You do actually see Keen able to get the early pressure.
Both
of them
pilih
also
si
going
Panik
for
aja.
double Dorans. So really
Kalian
putting a lot of
begituin
importance
bener.
on maintaining early combat power and priority here. And right from the get-go, looks like a lot of pressure is being put here as missing. As long as you keep hitting those feathers, you're going to be feeling amazing as the JDG bot lane.
Lain not going super well here for BDD, who's been under his turret and very low health for a very long time. Once again, trying to win out on these trades, but now that 369 is level 4,
Oh, 369 ini yang katanya jago ya.
a lot better.
Iya.
Finally, moving down towards this bottom side, we'll see whether he can help out, aiming in the heads.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to try and get in here, but Kanavi is already in the area. Kuz wasn't quite spotted there, so we'll be just ships passing the night, but it gives the opportunity for Kuz to get in behind this bot lane, who thinks they're safe because they're
Ayo ngevlog bang, ngevlog bang.
I think Ruler is thinking about trying to get an extendo beam onto aiming here. KT not going to bite off more than they can chew. Happy just to
Di PC champion baru tuh setahun sekali apa gimana Kur? Suka-suka aja cuy. Dulu 1 setahun, terus sekarang 2 setahun. Karena bisa sampai 3 setahun. Tahun ini ya yang 3 ya? Briar
Milio sama
Kesante ya?
Kesante tahun lalu. Tahun ini 2 berarti.
Briar Mamilio ya?
I think at this stage, as long as JDG are able to play for that objective, get that start to snowball like bot lane.
Oh iya Nafiri.
Oh iya Napiri.
We're also seeing that thus far I think both journals
Napiri kok nggak ada yang pakai sih di turnamen?
Jelek.
Kan emang champion rank doang ini. Assassin.
Jelek. Dijangkau clear lama di laning dibully.
Di rank juga jelek.
Biasa bagus cuma gara-gara apa? Orangnya nggak tahu ini itu ngapain.
Coba tahu anjing rame.
Tahu di DS banyakan lokas sakit ya.
Mamam. Aduh mas. Wah guys anjir. Ngeri banget tuh lifestyle anjing.
Karena 2 soalnya tadi.
The kill going across the 369 is massive though. Getting that early lead for the Croc is going to help out. Gets the orange spike. Whip will be able to
Apakah ini artinya nggak farming kayak kemarin?
just wants to try and freeze this wave from
Oke, berdua jungle nih farming nih.
is not going to let him get there.
Sekalian aja tukeran roll nih.
Dia mau masukin wave-nya itu keluar.
Iya. Sekalian aja tuker gitu, renek aja jungle.
And really good timing there from Kanavi. He is just a second later, Cuz is a second earlier. That could have been a disaster, right? You saw the moment that Cuz shows up, the ability to stack the permafrost very quickly can be quite
Kok gue jarang lihat Kesante di prosin ya, di band kah? Wah, lu yang jarang nonton berarti anjing.
Bang kemana aja bang?
Lu nontonnya War tahun lalu berarti anjir.
Tahun lalu juga kayaknya ada terus aja.
Emang boleh dipakai tahun lalu dibuatnya?
Seinget gue udah lupa gue juga cuman apa yang meta ya?
Emang ya iyalah jarang anjir, orang hampir tiap match di pick.
There's also some Gamma Touch and yeah, the fact that 369 still has his flash available will allow JDG to set up possible aggressive.
Langganan pick, langganan band.
And particularly, I think against things like the Akali, having that available can be quite big. Do see KT going for the Dragon Air. We do know post 6, this lane becomes a whole less fun for the Orianna.
Certainly does. Let's see. He's just walking in. He'll slap away.
Wait, kecuri dedek, smite-mu dedek. Nah kalau di game yang sebelumnya ya, kayak 2 hari yang lalu itu selalu gitu tuh, nggak ada yang mau nyuri anjir. Kalau udah duluan ya udah.
Nggak, tapi wajar sih. Saya jualan ini nggak ada damage burst juga buat finishing.
Oh iya juga ya.
Kalau Rel ada. Itu Rel skill satunya kayak bisa nyampe 100 damage.
Itu satu yang nusuk itu ya?
Kayak nusuk tadi tuh.
Yang ada stunnya kan?
Combo malah kayaknya itu ya. Yang ada stun. Itu kayaknya dia 1-3 dikomboin udahnya langsung semuanya. Itu kayaknya bisa lebih gede 200-an. Sejauh ini lu digituin cuma bisa bengong.
Observers were ready for him to go a little bit further forward. Decides to hold back just a little, and we like it. As LCK fans when aiming.
Gue lupa kalau di LoL PC basic attack nya si siapa namanya? Si Zeri itu. Yang nyentrumnya lebih gede aja kan damage-nya? Apa sama kayak skill 1 di wing grip?
Enggak. Jadi auto attack wing grip tuh jadi Q-nya.
Iya, kalau bisa attack yang di sini, yang di PC.
Basic attack biasa cuman yang itu tuh mukul sekali yang nyetrum ya. kayak execute gitu.
Tapi bukan yang area kan? Berarti di Wild bagus banget ya skill satunya.
Pokoknya OP kan. Sampai sekarang.
Udah area ngeslow anjir. Wajir.
Masih bisa lawan tapi ini.
Amam.
Buaya dong.
Itu orinya juga belum multi kan.
Bagus kayaknya. DPC di WildRift bagus.
Oke masih ada tuh.
And it's that flash from
Keren
369 that ends up being
buayanya.
the difference maker.
Onion
Yeah, you
King.
called it out earlier, Chronicle, having that there.
Ada Bang Yota ya. Kayaknya Bang Yota hari ini juga nggak sempet dia.
We're still going to get another repeat, I feel like, at this Rift Tower in a couple of moments, but you can see how well KT were able to separate JDG as they went towards this one.
It's also do note, BDD picking up a kill is huge. On the Sakali in particular, able to really make use of how slippery the champion is. But the fact that Kanavi extends the blade I think is really big. It forces BDD to go over the wall, meaning they don't have the damage to actually deal with 369. Got Sons up Akin, he doesn't have the cooldowns, and these levels, right, like if you're somewhere between level 6 and 9, Renekton,
Kenapa
he just wants
orinya
to fight,
ulti
he
ya
just
tadi?
wants to scrap, because it's so hard to deal with.
It can now become an issue, though, for JDG on the opposite side. Like, KT, all their summoner spells, the flashes in particular, are back up now on your top side of the map. Because of the push you had on bot side,
Gof kemana, Kur?
to move across, he is the heal.
Gof dia kemarin ikutan lab jadi gua nggak ajak.
369's in trouble.
Soalnya gua udah diwanti-wanti sama Riot. Boleh ajak orang tapi orangnya jangan nobar katanya. Jangan open live juga.
KT not going to be able to grab the kill, but they send a message.
A lot of restraint being shown there by KT, not wanting to overinvest. Missing is here, but so is Lahenza with 369 being sent back and not completing his back yet. Looks like the Herald is in fact gonna go over to KT. Round 1, unsuccessful. Round 2, they'll be able to pick it up.
Great read from KT on just saying, hey, yes, you have some of these champions that might be more better utilized at these early Rift Tower fights, but you burnt everything. Now Kanavi trying to match for Cosmos
Ini masih Johnny-nya prioritasnya bener ya. Gini melee terus. Jadi
Wah, anjir bagus ya.
Lah.
Lah. Lah.
Oh anjing. Ini sih mainnya ketat mulu ya di atas.
Iya anjir.
It's exactly the same play.
Mana reneknya bagus terus.
iya.
And it's a 1-for-1.
I mean, it's a bit heartbreaking for Keen. The fact
Aduh si paling ini, si paling control wave.
trying to execute some of these plays on the top side, and once again, we'll see the same again. Cuz at least will crash the wave, so then it won't happen. But Knight taking some damage from BDD.
Oh, nggak kena.
Very nice. Does manage to land the backflip. Did have to invest the ult though. Because Knight had just teleported back. So BDD now able to get that health bar back up and running once again. Ruler going a little bit aggressive on his former teammate here.
Kayaknya sembrajul.
Ini skin dulu yang Dragon ini ya di WildRift ada nggak sih?
CS check. Culls have been
Itu nggak ada,
completed.
itu
Gaming has sold
bukan
his.
Dragon sih ya.
Ada space bar.
Matchup presented by Mercedes.
Bukan anjir. Bukan Dragon Trainer itu.
Versus Ruler. Stats in favor of aiming this
Yang-
tournament.
yang
We know
tema
what Ruler
Pokemon
is
gitu.
capable of. And we just haven't got to games
Iya,
late
itu
enough
monster
for
Timer
Ruler
gitu
to
lah ya.
really shine.
Lupa
I
gue
don't think.
namanya juga.
That's kind of my opinion.
Yang sama kayak Trisana kan?
One fight.
Yeah.
Bukan beda lagi.
gonna pump the numbers?
Sama kayak Veigar sama kayak Kokmau. Yang Kokmau kayak jadi Pikachu gitu.
This is the way JDG play it.
Yang mana
Play through
kuning.
369, play through Knight, and
Save
on
mau
this
gitu.
one again, 369 just barely getting the heals that he needs. Kanavi just getting the
Sedap lifestyle-nya anjir.
369 up, and now you've got this Croc that
Eh.
is very far ahead of this
Kok nggak aktif skill 3-nya tadi ya?
pressure down, and you can look to leverage that now.
Skill 3 si Renek itu kalau yang kedua ada ininya kan? Reduce armor kan?
Kalau yang di enhance, kalau yang merah doang.
Iya, padahal tadi merah loh. Hampir penuh malah merahnya.
Around this Renekton might have a fight here towards the bottom half of the map. Aiming.
There's the knock up on aiming. He's trying to get out. Does use everything, but does manage to escape. Lands there to help out. As Cuz getting down here as well. Moonlight Vigil, decent amount of damage, but he can't really get in there. Decent Arctic Assault, but now the knock up comes through.
Anjing.
Teleport
Anjing.
to come forward though. The glacier.
Rata sih ini.
And now it's
Ya nggak kena.
aiming grabs a kill onto Kanavi. Ruler's
Mau
still
di-turn lagi kali ini.
doing a fair bit of damage.
Oh.
And Knight has made his way down as
Seru
well.
nih,
That's a
nggak
1-5 for
farming.
KT.
Oh nice.
Now Cuz gets out. He's fine.
I mean, great turnaround from KT.
Lagi.
Immediate teleport from BDD.
Lagi. Nyampe tuh Oriana.
Lagi nih.
Himself, and now Knight looking for more.
Anjing.
Ya, itu sih berlebihan sih Oriana kalau nyampe situ ya.
Oh.
Untung nggak mati anjir.
He's got command protect. That will keep the Zeri alive.
Nggak nyampe ya skill 1 ya ke semak.
That is going to be Lahen's trading his flash for Knights. I think that's a trade you'll take any time of the day, particularly with that
Ini Ori
Akali.
dari tadi tiap fight ultinya nyala mulu, nggak dipakai-pakai.
Don't want to pull out ahead.
It's also just a case of accelerating this Akali to a position where she can threaten these backlines.
Dibilang nggak dapet momen, padahal sebenarnya ada beberapa.
Making sure they keep aiming topped up. The Moonlight Vigil with the heal to make sure that Amy can then follow up. Because getting on towards Ruler, and even though Kanavi tries to set up the follow-up engage, with that TP coming behind, and Kanavi moving with his metal pants, he's waddling his way as quickly as he can, but it's just not enough. And Knight doing a bit of window shopping by the time he gets down as well, and only ends up burning his flash later on to try and follow up on the play.
You see that JDG was able to get first towards this Drake, and KT, they're not going to contest it. Decide the better of it. This is the second Drake, not setting up any soul point as Keen TPs to our top side.
Yeah, sort of playing into that 1-3-1 style like you guys were illustrating earlier on. That being said, having control of Drakes is one of those prerequisites if you want to be able to play 1-3-1. Generally, is Rift Herald is executed. That is no extra money. Not the greatest one you've ever thrown down there, cuz it's all right. We'll see whether we can get the Rift Scuttler. There we go. There's at least that.
I think Keen needs to leave fairly quick.
Mamam tuh tinggalin tuh turret habis.
Although it looks like with Cuz kind of spotting out exactly where JDG is, well, just enough time for first terror to go across.
Successful Herald gets them a turret.
I like your optimism.
It's actually really cool to see because for
Yang mana
KT,
jalannya dua
that's a
lagi.
Massacre lane economy snapshot. I was going to say, KT, what, they've kind of answered.
There's the 2 in the mid lane.
Yeah, nice.
Lumayan lah dan kedua.
Just 2?
Shouldn't there just be
2 of
Kayaknya
them.
ada yang biru ya.
2 of what?
2 of them.
2 of golds.
Yes, 2 of golds.
Yeah, 2 of golds
It's like
in
the
the
3
lane
of
for
hearts.
Knight.
It's like, if you're playing the cards or something like that. Yeah, it's all fine. But
And I do want to throw out a little bit of a warning here for KT fans that might be somewhat enthused by the current situation in the game.
Susah nih Renek mau jagain
We
Jaki.
don't count chickens, especially not against JDG. How often do they fall behind early, Dagda? Like,
yeah.
how often do they not pull the trigger until they can get these fights?
I will say though, Knight might be in trouble here as BDD is there, but I want to highlight, like, I think KT have really prepped for JDG as...
Ya.
Wallah.
Wait,
This is the
Missing's
dash
still here.
cannon, that's going to work
Kali
out.
yang multi
Missing
kagak
is
kena
here
ya.
though. And we'll see what the BDD
Iya anjay.
dodges. Gets out
Mampus anjing semua skill di dodge bangke.
Ninja. It's happened.
What a play from BDD, styling on JDG in that bottom side, and find enough time now, Cuz to get down to the bot lane to protect him. You've got to push in mid. You're losing your top side cams here as Kanavi, as you can see with the Jacks stealing away blue. KT are kind of running the game here.
Still got the cannon.
Yeah.
Kind of don't even Jonas Strong would be happy about that one. As Keen in the enemy jungle, I can see your face right now, Chronicler. He is not ready for this game to be a little bit KT favored. He's not ready. Can't handle it. He doesn't know how to analyze this whole situation. I'm gonna have to commentate him because he's incapable.
I
of
don't have as
commentating
much
right now.
experience as you. Okay? I'm not. This is not a familiar feeling for me. I do want to highlight that the investment of JDG towards the bot side actually ended up getting them the turret, ended up getting the flash. Or actually, turret is still standing. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's on BDD. But outside of that, as you were saying, the immediate counterpunch from KT on the other end of the map gains them a small lead, but more importantly, gains them control of the tempo on top side, lets them take over the enemy jungle and set up for second Herald. Maybe this one will actually hit something.
It also buys them time to scale. Like, Jax wants to try and get towards 2 items. Thumbs up, he's in a great spot. Aiming
PDD itu aslinya aku, Bang. Biji lu.
He's going to be in a great spot when he gets to 3 items. Like, KT have done a really good job of reading the way JDG played the map. So, usually you see...
Jungle yang merah itu apaan, Kur? Naik gajah. Oh, itu hero Thailand itu.
Keen walloping away in that top tower, gets the top tower. Like, KT have done their homework against JDG and are punishing them for what JDG traditionally do.
And it's also the way that KT dispatched of Genji for the entirety of
Itu kayaknya naik babi dia, naik gajah apaan anjing.
the fog being toggled there. Are they going to try and make a play?
There goes Cuz. 369's pretty
Bakal mati cuy.
stacked up. They get the teleport out.
Ada
The
TP bang, ada TP bang, kabur
not
guys.
more than that, and they will take the summoner spell.
Still a big win, particularly because the one.
Wush. Nah, itu dia.
And Rule will be able to take him down comfortably. It should be this turret falling as
ADC
well.
juga
And
sih.
Disini,
Waduh. Anjing 2 teleport, Cok.
Counter-Strike has been primed, and
Oke, nice banget stunnya dari ini. Rel. Hawk Rider. Nah, iya Hawk Rider sih.
Harus dilepas sih, nggak mungkin bisa.
Hawk Rider tuh yang bisa ini ya, lompatin dinding di COC ya.
Jadi COC. Bukan dinding, yang langsung pokoknya nyeruduk ke building. Kalau ada orang dilewatin doang.
I mean, this is a good moment for KT, though. You get your reset, you're looking at Dragon in 30 seconds' time. You've just injected a bunch of gold into 2 of your carries, so I think they're in a great spot. Also, 369 committed his TP to bot lane, so no TP at all for JDG on the upcoming
Keren
lane.
gitu anjing prediksinya.
They have a ward, so he walked. I think Knight walked over the ward in jungle. Gotta assume that BDD had an idea that he might be waiting there. We will see, though. I think Ocean, particularly for a 1-3-1 comp, can be really big, allowing him to stay in side lane for much longer. 369, that's not an easy target. Looks like KT don't want to go for it, but we might have another fight on our hands here. JDG, they don't have control right now, but I think they're going to be looking to contest nonetheless. Maybe Kanavi can steal again.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe they don't need control. Maybe they just need the horse to just wander away in there. As KT, 4 members here already set up. You can see BDD lurking in the side. 369 goes in, aiming, trying to escape from the crocodile. He'll get away, but Lance, he may not be so lucky. Knight in trouble as well, though, as he flashes away. BDD tries to get the moonlight angel flies forward, and Amy's gonna lock down the perfect execution, and KT will
Bagus banget, saya ingat kata itu.
Is this really happening? And it's only game 1, but still they're managing to win team fights.
And KT are able to absorb the
Kecepatan tuh
initial
tadi
blow
yang
of
engage
JDG.
pertama.
Si Reneknya ya.
Nggak tahu tadi gue Renek makan sih kayaknya. Si Rel soalnya masih charging hex plus.
Specifically, if your engage doesn't work out and you're stuck trying to get to him,
Jadi
you
kan hex
will
plus
not
tuh.
win the fight.
Nah iya rakanya kecepatan
As
tuh.
the ult from Missing comes through, Amy cleanse Gale Force
Wih,
immediately.
flashnya juga bagus banget.
Then with the ultimate to keep him topped up and the speed up to back it on up. And Knight has now been caught because he's been separated from his front Ryan. Rulers are
Kalian nggak bisa dikejar aja.
which means when King goes in, Rulers burst. Aiming has an amazing moonlight vision to set things up, and the AOE from this Aphelios in the close quarter combat fight works out beautifully.
Udah nggak bisa dikejar tadi ngumpul semua.
Absolute game of inches in that team fight though, because if Missing is
Modal
actually able to
multi,
get
dia bikin
quickness
3.000 aja.
over, especially
Terus
aiming
tapi
with the rest of
dia
KT
nggak
as
mati
well,
dikejar
that could
kan?
just be a wipe straight up, and the game could just
Terus
be
udah
done. That's
semua
so point for
dicepoin deket
JDG
dulu,
and
kena
all the
ulti semua
trimmings.
sama Aphelios.
But not going to be the case here. Still 5,000
banget.
gold is the lead here for KT. JDG still a few team fights left
200
in
years
it
of
before
collective
this nexus of
experience.
theirs is going to potentially fall.
And one of the biggest pieces of criticism that is often levied towards BDD or his builds, inventor of triple lifeline, when you were still allowed to build. He's got death cap second. He has one job, and that's to blow
Mana
up
network ini, Cok?
whoever of Knight and Ruler is closest, right? The amount of roll damage that he's going to be
Kenapa di WR ulti Jax nggak ngedamage? Emang di sini ngedamage ultinya?
Stylish man
Damage,
right
damage.
now.
Iya,
Really
udah di dulu.
Ya, yang ini
Oh, karena habis di revamp ya? Sebelumnya enggak kan?
Belum.
Emang ultinya ngapain, Pit? Kayak area Renek gitu?
Dia apa ya?
skill 3
Pokoknya dia area nginjek tanah.
Skill 3 mesin yang nginjek tanah, nah iya kayak
Iya,
Oh, jadi pas buka ulti dia ada damage-nya dulu gitu ya?
ada nginjek tanah sekali. Nah itu kalau nginjek tanah lu kena misalkan banyak orang, armornya nambahnya dia
Makin gede.
gitu tergantung banyak orang.
Oh.
Makin banyak yang kena makin tebal.
Kayak inilah ya. Kayak item itu tuh rantai yang dipakai sama Renek, cuma itu kan lifesteal ya.
Missing able to get himself out with the grand exit. As battle dance as well, of course, he's pretty slippery as the Rakan. Kanavi throws a stab towards Kuz, and Kuz
Kayak Ramus ya. Lah emang Ramus ada yang kayak gitu enggak anjir?
clearing out vision, and of course, this is the homework that you have to do when you're playing the 1-3-1. You need to be the team that has the vision around the back.
Kayak Gargoyle lah ibaratnya,
Very,
guys.
very difficult to stop
Nah, iya,
JDG from
mirip-mirip
just taking that
betul.
one. As Kane moving down towards his bottom side, and if this
Dan kalau
Jax wins in the
Gargoyle
side
kan yang
lane, that
penting
is
dapat
part of your
doang,
win
kalau ini
condition
harus
complete.
kena.
So far, that is working out here for KT.
Aiming pakai champion apa? Mana Aiming? Apel Limek.
It looks like it might be on the top side, which is why JDG at the moment are just trying to see if they can clear out the vision in their own top side jungle and then shift it into river, separate the likes of BDD from the rest of his team. So he has to back away, opening up the opportunity for Knight to clear out these waves. And I think that's your biggest vulnerability. Like Orianna into the likes of an Akali. I mean, we saw for T1 and Gen G, right? Like, how good was Chovy at catching Faker out on the likes of this Orianna? If you allow this matchup to actually go head-to-head, BDD's gonna smash Knight every single time.
Big thing as well going in is that as we get deeper into the game, KT right now obviously looking really good in items, but we did see against Weibo that they were not really able to find a very clean way to take full control of the game, right? They had one misplay on top side, and then that kind of slowed the game down. The one thing I'd be worried about for KT, if they are forced into a 5v5, is that Ruler, as we get deeper into the game, is going to become a bigger problem.
And that's why I think if you're looking at this, you need to try and get control over this midway.
Yeah.
The second you get pushed there, you can lean into top side, clear out the vision that's already been set up here and to back here, and then you're in a position where you can allow BDD to extend far. You can get.
Udah pernah coba Apelios di PC nggak?
And at the moment, Keen is totally fine. I mean, he's
Nggak pernah.
incredibly slippery. You're not going to be able to catch
Gua
him.
nggak main
So
ADC.
that's why I think you have to try and focus on controlling this
Enak,
3v3
Mas,
in the mid
gampang
lane. And
main.
at the moment, they just haven't quite been able to
Gampang
keep
cuy mainnya.
pushing out the waves.
Well, 369 losing out in this trade at the moment. The 0-3 jacks here from Keen. Certainly feeling pretty scaled at this point in time. Extendo Beam not going to find Cuz here as JDG desperate to get themselves into this river to try and get some semblance of control. BDD lurking to the north, though. It's a bit scary here.
Padahal bisa laku di war, kenapa Bangkor?
Just trying to gather themselves
Kenapa,
at
Pit?
this point in time.
And I do think that KT, like, when they see, for example,
Gak
someone on red
tahu.
buff with the
Berarti
with
kan
the
Keen
easy
juga
trigger,
tahu.
Keen did invest his ultimate, so
Banyak
should be
banget
waiting
yang
for that to
pakai
come up
Orianna.
as
Kenapa
JDG
nggak
are
tahu?
looking for an engager. And you see as well, JDG
Iya,
actually hold on
palingan
pretty decently
balik
to the
ke
vision that they
itu,
have,
safe
which means that
lane.
KT can't use the fact
Farming
that
scaling
BDD and
Dio
Keen
push doang.
go for hard winning inside.
Yeah, and I
Sama
think the
buat
problem is as
ngelawan
well is BDD
anjir.
is just hard pushing this wave a little bit too much. I think
Yang masuk ke quarter siapa aja bang? Siapa aja ya? JDG, KT, T1, LGD. LGD apa LND ya? Lupa gue namanya. Terus 2 tim kemarin lupa gue siapa aja. Cek aja di lolesports.com.
Intinya 4 Cina.
Still feeling like it's on a knife's edge.
Pokoknya nggak ada NA sama EU, nggak ada Vietnam.
Ada enak. Energi kan yang
Siapa?
kemarin cuman udah kalah.
Iya udah kak. Iya yang lolos ke ini. Lupa.
Look to try and set up around this Baron, which could be an opportunity as well.
Lagi sisa besok lagi cuy, besok T1 lawan LND. Habis itu udah langsung masuk ke ini semifinal. Apelios kok di pick mulu Kor, karena bagus. Weibo lolos. Weibo kemarin kalah ya? Lupa.
Kemarin menang.
Yang menang Genji
Weibo menang.
Oh ya, Weibo menang lawan Energi ya, easy game itu mah. Pakai nanya.
Yang lolos sekarang jadinya Cina semua. Main 1 match 2, dua-duanya Cina yang lolos.
Ini berarti harusnya LPL juga nih. Terus nanti sisa 1 SKT. Anjas. Game keberapa nih? 1. Gue bingung perbedaan game keberapa sama match keberapa itu yang mana yang bener aja pertanyaannya. Misalnya skor 1 sama nih, itu hitungnya yang selanjutnya itu game ketiga atau match ketiga?
Match harusnya kayak game kayaknya masih
game ketiga sih kayaknya. Kalau match yang berbeda tuh beda lagi timnya kan?
Kalau match beda tim ya.
nggak tahu, gua nggak pernah merhatiin juga.
JDG get some control of their topside jungle. Maybe just for a moment though, as Cuz looking to clear it out immediately. Vision coming through here as Missing's always looking for these angles. BDD might be the target. You can really feel it. JDG just trying to find someone.
Sama pertanyaan ini, pertanyaannya hari ini 1 tim doang bang. Ya kalau 1 tim yang main lawannya siapa nih?
Missing has no idea. Teleport's going to come in. Can Cuz manage to lock this down?
Tercuri lagi? Oh enggak. Nggak bisa 2 kali ya Bang Rel ya.
Katanya menang.
Anjir kalinya.
menang sih ini KT itu.
Ya game 1 menang KT ini mah.
Itu kali saya enaknya tuh.
Iya anjir.
Masih rada bingung soalnya kenapa orinya ludut nih.
Slowing down the pace, keeping control of the map, and picking up the Baron in the face of Kanavi. They may actually look to end it here.
Jalannya aja siapa yang memukul?
This is nothing
Kita
happening
mati bang.
as they push on forward.
Tuh.
The last man standing.
Juga mati.
Kan orang tuh sejuani ya.
Whether it's going to be enough, the teleports are coming in.
Udah di
Taking the
end nih.
takedown, the first inhibitor of the game.
Bang mau jajan enaknya di mana nih?
They're looking for Nexus turrets now. Kanavi
Jajan di
double knockup, but the follow-up's not there from missing, and Ruler is executed.
jajan di bibit.
Langsung end cok.
Wih 29 menit coy.
Number 1 over JDG. We're only just getting started
Hmm.
now. And
Dibully gini.
Nggak ngevlog guys.
Sejuani
Bagus ini si Juani gengnya cuy. Sebelumnya vlog doang anjir.
coming in, it's just a
Ya,
single
makanya gue bingung kalau orang main sejuani cuman yang di geng bukan yang melee. Dari tadi dia geng yang melee terus enak, itu kan kesan gak gerak ya.
So today they definitely are, still should be. Wanna stress that.
I will say though, I mean, a win on red side.
Boleh diadu lah kali BDD sama Chauvi guys.
Manage Kanavi because tracking him incredibly well, being able to find success in that top side and matching a lot of those plays, giving the kills across. Like this is KT came to play and JDG were caught off guard.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit gobsmacked, but
Jaket e-sport Korea keren-keren, kalau mau beli di mana ya? Cek ranjang kuning di bawah guys.
Take the Drake for water's sake. For every ocean Drake taken, AWS will make a donation to water.org. Our goal is to help water.org bring clean water to more than 70,000 plus people. Currently, 34 ocean Drakes have been slain since Worlds 2023 Swiss stage.
Nih,
began
setiap
as
ocean ya
sold
cepet
today.
banget
Absolutely
anjing.
fantastic. And now it is time to head it over to the post-match to see what the KT fans are managing to do with themselves at this point in time. So I'm not sure.
They have calmed down a little bit, but I have to say, just mere moments ago, this platform was shaking a lot, wasn't it?
From nerves.
From nerves.
That was me shaking my leg.
I'm not saying anything. It's just a visceral reaction to what happened, but I mean, for the underdogs, what a great start, Lore.
Yeah, intriguing approach both in draft and in
11-12 sama Akali Kuro, bener banget lagi Haji mah.
And I really like the way they approach JDG because for me they play specifically into JDG's weaknesses, but also onto what made them strong this summer in the LCK, Emily.
Yeah, and as we pull up the draft, I think the big thing here was definitely...
Makin lama makin banyak ceweknya ya.
We didn't really mention it at the top of...
Pertama 1, kemarin 2, sekarang 3. Besok nggak ada lagi lakinya.
Like how instrumental he is to KT's early game on something like the Sedge. We saw him going top over and over again, and even when those
Ini si paling analis nih yang ini ya.
necessarily work out the way that they wanted, it did set up Keen for success later on in the game, and combining that Sedge Jax combo was really, really good for KT.
And that's not something that I expected, right? Because we've been talking about how they should set up aiming, especially in the bot lane. I love the Aphelios approach here. I had doubts as to Lehens would be able to match up into this kind of scenario against JDG's bot lane. But you know that when you're going to play this Jax Sejuani, you're going to have to pass top lane. I had some doubts.
Tadi kan yang berdiri 3 cowok.
Don't go
Kemarin 2 ceweknya sih.
upper hand here, but they kept on coming again. And even though Cuz was the one getting the resources, they managed to fuel onto Keen in the end. This is when things change, Emily, because they have to play in reaction when they should have the upper hand. And in the end, yeah, Keen doesn't end up having the kills, but he was not too left far behind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think what JDG would have wanted from this top side, despite the fact that it was split map and JDG had the bot side while KT had top, was the fact that they were still able to get some things out of this trade. So the Renekton never felt like he was super far ahead. And when it got to mid and late game, no one could stand up to this Jax in side lanes. And also no one could stand up to BDD's Akali once he got going.
Yeah, exactly. They had side lane prio in both lanes. But this game, I just love...
Kalau teleport kayak gitu ketahuan kan?
because they scrapped with JDG at every single turn. They did not back away from a team that is considered the best in the world at this kind of
Yang di
game.
luar vision aja kalau lu cover mapnya kelihatan.
Yeah, and I think the important thing for me is that it comes in these small skirmishes, right? And not the 5v5 fights. They didn't really contest
Tapi di map enggak ya?
in massive 5v5s until they were set ahead from these skirmishes.
And
I think what is important then is that when it did come to bigger fights, KT was still ready, even though everyone was going for aiming. They wanted to kind of stop the fight from KT before it even started, but that was not successful.
Exactly. It all came down to this third dragon fight here. JDG, we're losing out on some skirmishes, but they had grabbed the first 2 dragons, and to set this up, it was going to be all about aiming. You look at the summoners, he's missing his flash. He was over on this side. He does actually have the cleanse available, but we're going to roll this, and you can see where 369 is coming. 369 had his flash available. Missing also had his flash available. I'm sorry it doesn't actually show that, but
ini yang war terakhir tadi ya?
actually burst down the AD carry here, and we're going to see how JDG try to execute on this, on how KT are going to be able to handle it. So 369 on the flank, he has it swept out.
Tuh dia mau nangkap apa itu, apa mumpung di situ tadi kan kejepit.
They're all going to be going for the backline here to try to take down aiming. But look at the Gale Force creates the space. The knock up from the Lulu as well. Aiming pulls back, and they can only really knock down the hens.
Itu skill apa tuh yang kayak lari gitu? Oh, udah ready itunya.
Crushing Knight, who's trying to follow up on this play. He's
Kalian
trying to
tadi.
connect with his recon to get back there so he can land a shockwave on this AD carry. They full send it on him, but they can't actually connect. And then once aiming finds this moment to reset, JDG try to pull back into this area up here. But look at this ulti that's coming through from the Aphelios. Look at BDD that's flanking him from the other side. Keen coming up as well. Lehans has escaped. And JDG gets straight up out team fought by KT. They win the fight. They get the dragon. They stop the march to Seoul. And to me, this was the game defining moment. And this is the moment that I sat up in my chair and I'm like, they can take JDG in a series if they can keep playing like this.
Oof. And that's really what I like compared to the games that they played previously in the Swiss stage, where this was specifically around objective setup that they were playing sloppy. They were like, okay, they got the early game, they got the mid game, but they can turn everything onto a sloppy fight. But here, they take care of the vision. They're really clean in the way they approach the fights and the flanks. And more than anything, they play to their comp strength, which is something they haven't been doing all the time.
They played very well throughout the entire game. Emily, we were looking at the post-game breakdown as we relay that JDG has selected the blue side going forward.
Yeah.
Lama amat mulai lagi. Rehat dulu, cuy, ada yang kencing.
That Jax for Keen, right? We saw it, you pointed it out in the fight, Azale.
Kena digeng-geng terus.
Makers in that was not only that they were able to keep aiming alive with the Lulu ult, but also the fact that Jax just jumped onto Knight, chunks him below half health, I believe, and that essentially separates the fight in a really bad way for JDG. So they were using that advantage they did get topside from the split map pressure.
Ini berarti gak ada caster Koreanya kah?
Ada, cuman nggak di sini. Nggak yang global. Kalau lu mau lihat caster Korea lu di channel LCK.
Tapi kan ini di stage anjir. Emang ada lagi stage untuk Koreanya?
Itu lu lihat belakang di layar, yang belakang layar si apa? Casternya, bukan caster, analis. Di layar gedenya mah kan yang ngomong beda orang. Gitu, jadi kayak per channel tuh ada kayak beda bahasa gitu.
Bukan, itu kan lagi di stage di tempatnya kan itu. Berarti dia ada untuk Korea, ada lagi tempatnya.
Ada lagi.
Yang gue lihat cuma 2 soalnya.
Enggak gitu. Cina juga dibedain. Di sini ngejain buat Cina, Inggris sama Korea.
Skor udah berapa? Baru 0-1. Kalau nonton Arcane itu awal cerita lore kah? Enggak. Itu cuma sekitaran Jinx doang.
Arcane jadi lore accurate, jadi canon.
The only thing capable of powering the game, the stage, the broadcast, and the worldwide spectacle we know and love, aka the Cisco Network.
AKA the Cisco Network. Kok beda?
Iya, ini kan bukan.
Ada tulisannya tadi part 2 itu.
Karena udah mau dapat.
Udah mau beres sih ya.
Udah kayak iklan-iklan di bulan Ramadan aja ada part-partnya.
Tahun depan iklan Marjan gimana ya? Marjan komik universe ini.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Bringing in a new roommate to save money, is that the plan?
Say hi to Glenn from work.
Yeah, I think I have a much better plan. We switched to my plan from Verizon.
That is a good plan. Glenn?
Get my plan starting at just $25 when you bring your own phones. Plus, save when you add perks like the Disney bundle. It's your Verizon. How do we keep holding on? Lights flicker from afar. I'd rather stay in the dark if I'm with you. I don't need the world. Keep me close, safe and sound. More than two is a crowd.
Kapan game LoL PC ada di mobile? Kayaknya nggak bakal sih cuy. Ini game tuh cocoknya dimainkan di PC gitu.
Tapi bang kan WildRift.
Ah, WildRift itu game LoL.
Oh,
Itu game apa?
Habis nanti nobar nanti malam lemes nggak Kor? Lemes. Nanti malam gue nggak lab tadi malam karena ini aja. Biar tamat ini gue. Nunu.
makanya jadinya lu nunggu nggak?
Jadi udah tamat.
Anjir. Pamel keluar.
Itu dia katanya mau pamer.
Gue juga pengen main Pamel.
Yakin Yuki.
Ki Andre. Enggak. Di tempat gue juga mendung doang anjir, udah ada ininya suara-suara bakal hujan. Kagak hujan bangke. Apa? Ya udah ada suara ini geruduk-geruduk. Kagak jadi hujan bangke lah.
Gue dari kemarin hujan, tapi hujannya cuma lewat ke 5 menit doang udah.
Iya ini.
Lewat 5 menit udah. Nggak lama mendung lagi, lewat 5 menit udah lagi.
Tapi enak malamnya jadi dingin.
Ya lumayan.
Kalau hujannya dari pagi sampai sore juga enak, Pit. Malamnya juga dingin, Pit.
Lebih enak kalau sampai rumah terbang, Gur.
Enak sih. Kemarin ada yang komen gini anjir, mainnya WildRift tapi live-nya LoL PC, support dong WRL katanya. Ini ya guys ya, buat kalian yang masih berharap gue nobarin WRL ya, nggak bisa, gue nggak ada akses buat nobar. Nobar itu nggak bisa sembarangan anjir. Kalau streamer kecil mungkin bisa, nggak dibiarin aja sama Riot. Tapi kalau streamer itu nanti di copyright, di strike. Orang udah menggelontorkan duit puluhan juta, ratusan juta, terus tiba-tiba kita nobarin buat dapet viewer, kan nggak semudah itu guys ya. Sedangkan kalau di LoL PC ini gue diundang gitu, nggak perlu minta-minta. Nanti aku di copyright. Bukan nggak mau nobarin, gue mah mau aja nobarin cuy. Gue udah pernah kontak mereka, katanya nggak dibales, ya udah.
But of course, this is the best of 5. Anything could happen as we move further on. And now,
Tapi bang seruan PC.
Gentlemen, the adaptations. What are we looking for here?
Tapi bosen LoL PC lama banget warnya.
Was gonna wonder, is JDG going to remain
salah juga.
keep that rumble ban in place?
Kayak kemarin itu enak tuh nontonnya. Kayak apa kemarin beleguk ya. Pas udah game udah kalah sekali langsung kicep anjing.
Begitu terakhir udah dua apa sih udah dua langsung hati-hati bang hati-hati ya bang ya. Itu sampai apa sih? Cina biasanya bukan yang main itu soalnya kan bukan main China Tamken sampai langsung di abuse lebih menang.
Itu sih siapanya tuh baronnya top lane-nya sampai main rumble lagi ada
main rumble lagi lebih menang lah anjingnya.
Kalau mau lihat war mulu ya nonton WRL. Iya emang WRL tapi ya gimana sih dia ada akses. Kalau ada akses mah bisa gitu. Coba gue tanya orang Rito dulu ya. Dulu gue ngekontak mereka lah. Dulu gue ngekontak orang Rito. Maaf ya aku tidak mengurus yang bagian itu katanya. Coba kontak mereka ke Facebook. Oke siap. Gak dibalas habis itu.
And this is KT if they do go for the Orianna, opting in for a more team fight oriented style. Obviously they were able to win team.
Enak padahal nobar cuy. Walaupun gue nggak terlalu ngikutin turni nih kayak begini nih. Nonton. Terus tinggal ngomong, wih, anjir, view banyak, enak gitu. Aku juga mau gitu. Wah gila sih ini. Kalau enggak, wih, Nico di pick coy. Ngomong kayak begitu doang anjir.
That hey, we're going in hard, and we're going to try and catch many of yous with this combo. The only downside to that is kind of what we saw in the last game, where more of these AD carry bans come through, and then you have this Aphelios that's just able to scale and pop off in the later points of the game.
And I'm wondering if Cuz wants to go back to Wukong. It was actually Kanavi that picked us, I think, into the fight earlier on, and with the Orianna, could be a dangerous combo here.
Masuk semua dah.
Do they
Nggak usah nungguin tadi kita di rel.
Left up and available, or the Lahen's Renata angle. This could certainly feel a little bit like flavor of the tournament, especially at this end of it. Renata, something that Lahen's has been fantastic on many times, mostly with rules, to be honest.
Also allows you to keep alive whichever target fights go for, right? So you're able to
Nikonya lagi ulti kena ulti Renata temen hilang.
We've seen how deadly this lane can be. KT really taking a lesson from
Bukan hater T1 bang. Bukan hater T1. Gue capek ngeliat Packer menang anjir. Packers itu mungkin 80% orang Indo itu dukungnya Faker gitu. Nah, gue pengen menjadi 20%-nya cuy.
Ya, soalnya kalau Faker influence itu udah kayak orang yang nggak main aja udah tau Faker gitu.
Iya.
Yang lain padahal sebenarnya ada yang jago juga tapi nggak ketahuan aja kalau yang jarang nonton.
Sama kayak itu kemarin gue sempat lihat player game sebelah itu katanya ada nggak pro player yang lu idolakan? Ada Miracle katanya. Pas dia nyebut Miracle aja kayak gue udah alah. Kayak gitulah ibaratnya. Wih, nggak mungkin dong pick Nila. Ya kali Nila. Udah tinggi banget skillnya Dex.
Kalau skillnya tinggi gak di situ bang.
Tapi dia belum pick Nila coy. Belum cukup tinggi buat Nila coy. Lulu gak sih? Udah rakan ya.
To be locked in for 369, feeling very 369, especially this tournament, man.
Itu main ngesantai, belum ada. Ngesantai bisa nih.
Emang ruler main Nila guys? Belum ada kan Nila keluar di ini? Di Pro Scene. Orang
ini mah Renek bisa ikutan muka sama apa aja.
Picking up this Aatrox kind of shows what we've been starting to see more and more in quarterfinals is that this Aatrox just starts to take over games.
Very interesting situation because KT a very different draft to what we saw in game.
Nila belum kelihatan. Iya cuy. Orang yang range-nya kayak ketlin aja udah sulit. Ini mau pakai yang melee aja.
into the mid and late with that Renekton paired with the Viego.
Inilah terakhir yang main cuma di Eropa doang.
Jadi
cuma satu skin.
Gak bakal dapat skin itu Nila World.
Kecuali tiba-tiba metanya berubah jadi meta-meta Juggernaut lagi.
Tapi bau-baunya nih ya, yang bakal dapat skin World menurut gua Oriana, Jarvan, kalau enggak Rel. Terus siapa lagi ya?
Nico.
Ya kayaknya Nico sih. Tapi kalau Nico berarti Oriana nggak bisa ya.
Kayaknya lebih banyak.
Tergantung sih. Kalau misalnya Faker yang menang, kayaknya bakal jadi Oriana deh.
I think looking at this, it is 100% the main jungle matchup. I think it's just a case of
Sante, aduh kayak nggak tahu ya, ke Sante kah apa Atrox sudah ada belum sih? Yang kemarin ya? Iya sih.
I think that's where a huge amount of that JDG focus is going to be.
Tergantung siapa yang menang, kadang preferensi juga.
Garen nggak bakal aja, Garen Adam baru milih Garen nih.
Udah renggat yang main Garennya.
Tapi nggak apa juga kalau misalnya ternyata siapa gitu menang terus dia pengen for fun gitu milih Garen atau apa gitu bisa aja.
Persyaratan dia harus main championnya di World.
Oh dia harus mainin champion, bukannya yang penting ini aja.
Jadi selama lu menang lu di World pernah main itu minimal sekali.
Oh gue kira yang penting keluar aja.
I know. Shoutouts to his current coach, right? Like Homie was on Samsung White and Blue, helping those teams when they won Worlds back in Korea a long time ago, 2014.
It's also one of my favorite parts, like seeing these little moments. We had it yesterday as well, Viego flexing.
Terus mungkin Keria milih Bart kalau dia menang nih. Bart belum ada kan?
Iya bisa Bart.
Lumayan itu dia buat for fun gitu.
I love those little moments. Shoutouts to former teams or former rivals. Peanut, I think, also showcased the LGD one.
Yep, he loves the LGD one. He uses that all the time. Not quite as much as his Penguin one.
It's funny because you think he'd want to forget that time.
Well, I mean, yeah. Let's just move on from that because
Faker kan nggak pakai skin kalau menang di mana bang? Iya sih, tapi tetap milih deh cuy.
Milih, cuman banyak nggak dipakai. Pernah sekali pakai skin yang aneh yang Syndra gitu sih.
Skin SKT semua satu lagi semua dipakai skin itu.
Cuman sekali doang gitu.
Soalnya sulit cuy, mahal skin cuy, nggak mampu Faker cok. Mending nabung buat beli turret, beli tower. Tower Faker.
I think this is still a very volatile top lane where whoever gets an early lead should be able to run with it. The main thing that I think is really interesting
Itu Renek skinnya jelek banget anjir, cuma dikasih armor dikit doang. Itu lebih murah dari skin common itu anjir.
Been utilized as a straight up front line, right? We've seen the teleport plays from 369 specifically. The moment that Sterix is done, really being able to be aware of how much damage you can take with the Gore Drinker, with the Sterix, and still providing space for, in this case, Ruler as well as Knight.
And it was Ruler back in, some of the 200 years meta that we did see with Aphelios, really making the Jinx look like a great counter into it as well. His Jinx has been a treat for many, many years. So looking forward to seeing how he's going to be able to utilize it, something that other players here at Worlds have already shown some success on.
And I think it's going to make team fights a little bit more difficult for KT, because a huge amount of what they wanted to do was, hey, we want to try and kite back, absorb the pressure with Lahens, with BDD, so you're running into the Oriana ball, and then we can pounce, right? But when you look at, okay, well, we've got Nico.
Boleh juga sih kalau nanti ada skin buat turret. Iya menarik juga. Skin map sih yang penting, bosan anjir mapnya kayak begini terus.
Can he actually find it? Shape Splitter comes through to confuse them, but they will not be confused this time. First blood goes to Kuz, and KT are on the board.
And it's Kuz's pathing there is able to clear full towards top, and then just sneak by. A second later, he gets spotted.
Itu si Viego abis dia berubah skillnya reset nggak sih kalau dia ganti itu? Misal dia udah pakai skill 1, 2, 3 nih, terus berubah jadi champion lain, cooldownnya reset lagi. Oh nunggu dulu cooldownnya.
Opportunities from Kuz that are being exploited
maksudnya champion lainnya.
Iya.
Iya, kalau champion lain ya.
Banget ya, gue selesai, pilih lagi yang lain, terus reset lagi.
Pilih yang lain, cuman pas balik ke Viego masih ada cooldownnya kadang.
Pretty psyched about it. The ability to get resets in these fights, the fact that bailout can also help try and turn those tides even easier. Looking forward to seeing what Kuz can make of this.
Yang mau nonton WRL ada di channel WildRift Esport ya guys ya. Gue tidak nobarin karena tidak punya akses. Ini yang tadi aja.
And strike first in a lane that JDG want to be playing around, and getting that early success for BDD means he can get the no magic mantle on reset.
Yeah, because particularly in the early game, Nico is so.
Di URL berarti udah patch baru berarti kan? 4.4 kan?
It's there where you really want to try and maintain.
Andai lu mau ikut nobar Ja, ayo sini Ja.
He just wants to get through lane, right? The moment you get out of laning phase, even though I don't think there's an amazing ball delivery system on his team.
Lu mau ikut nobar yang cuman ada satu stream di Indonesia ini Ja, ayo sini Ja.
Able to get through the laning phase, particularly against Divine. Nico, you're going to be feeling pretty decent. We'll see though, because I do think that at 6 there'll be another opportunity for Kanavi and Knight as this Drake being started up.
They're fighting super hard for bot lane prio. I think Kuz wants to try and commit to this. Kanavi has to hop out of the pick because you can see with the Infernum on bot side, they can't really go for Dragon. So Kuz now going to find Knight, but just able to back away.
Yeah, Blooming Burst will connect, but doesn't get the snare. And KT, the Dragon, very angry, has actually given a lot of attention to a lot of different players as they've traipsed up this river. He's going to go back to the pit now and is going to calm down. Ruler moving forward, looking for a bit of that splash damage. Be able to find it there, aiming just playing respectfully here on this bottom side, as once again Kanavi going to start up this Drake is missing. Just handshook all over the place.
Oh, this time around though, I don't think KT can contest. Knight actually getting a prio. Early Drake might be going over. KT, they are still moving up though.
Nggak bisa masuk.
Hostile takeover is now. They're looking for the fight. Grand entrance is going to connect. There's the pop blossom onto Kuz. They know exactly who they want. Bailout not going to connect. And aiming has to flash to get out. Lands gonna do the same thing. The Zap is going to be blocked by the Renata.
Mereka masih mau kontes ya? Udah pakai
You called it, Atlas. They knew their target.
Kayaknya gara-gara si Apelios yang ngomong gua sekarang udah bisa nih. Loro gua udah bisa perang. Jadinya cobain. Cuman ya posisinya nggak enak juga.
Ada Bang Moja, kor nggak tahu nih disombong banget aja diajakin nobar malah ngilang. Come on.
Tuh kan dia bener. Tuh peluru dia udah bisa perang kan, jadi hijau putih hewan ya posisinya gak enak.
Hijau yang mana ya?
Hijau tuh yang sniper.
Oh. Kalau yang putih cakram.
Putih cakram. Itu buat stacking putihnya enak banget.
And both top laners are going to back away.
Keen's been controlling this matchup though. I mean, look at the CS lead. He's been doing a great job of shoving in waves, trying to see if he can get a couple of chips on this plate damage. And with both ultimates being burnt there, the next question becomes...
WRL lagi main Aram. Oh ya, mereka kan main Aram ya buat nentuin ini ya.
BDD already in position, trying to get vision down, trying to spot out exactly where Kanavi is on the map.
Nentuin first pick ya itu.
It's actually been Keen that's really been reaping the rewards. He's up almost like 600 gold towards the top side in the isolated 1v1. The Aatrox definitely going to struggle a little bit early. But I do got to say, I'm pleasantly surprised by Keen. I think that he was one of the weakest parts of KT thus far as Kanavi meets yet again.
Yeah, lurking in the mist is Kuz, is Kanavi. That opportunity, of course, never in too much trouble. Actually, just going to say thanks for the
bot lane.
And yeah, we do have Roll moving up Knight already here in this river. Missing also there as well. So it looks like this Rift should just go over to JDG. Not a lot here for KT can do about it. Ruler already packing his bags, moving back down towards this bottom side to try and deny some of these plates or at least pick up some of this CS.
Missing because of the fight at Dragon and they picked up the wave, had the level 6 advantage. So Hens just picked it up off this wave that they pushed in, but JDG knew that with the push advantage and the level advantage on the support, they would have been able to contest. So KT back away, Ruler catches a wave, and we'll have to see now if this Rift Child is going to make its way to the bottom side, because I think you kind of need to accelerate this.
Terus Mes biasanya kapan bang setelah selesai Aram? Iya. Bis mereka kan Aram itu nentuin first pick atau nentuin apa gitu yang berhak memilih gitu. Di situ baru mulai.
Shockwave in this mid lane, Knight taking a lot of damage, Cuz also lurking around the side, but it looks like Knight will just be able to walk his way out. No flash needed, no harm, no foul.
But the fact that aiming does have the call, whereas Ruler doesn't, does mean that even with the CS lead, I think the gold will be pretty even between the two. It was really nicely done by JDG because of how quickly Ruler and Missing actually rotate towards bot, plus the fact that there was a cannon available. It means Ruler doesn't actually end up missing anything. KT don't even get a play for getting on the Herald, and JDG win on both sides.
Gak bisa ngapa-ngapain aja.
Very happy. Big old crocodile here towards his top side. Grabs his second
Klaimnya nggak ada yang punya prio soalnya.
Very
Mid
nice.
kalah, bawah kalah.
But things still extraordinarily even as this game chugs on. And when I'm looking at this and an even game state, I'm thinking that the
Masih belum ada izin Nobar Grand Final, belum.
Scott masih aman itu kan dia dapat kill sama beda farming 2 camp doang gitu kalau 7-7-7-1 masih ketutup kill kan.
On a ward here towards this bottom side. JDG just wasting a lot of his time here. Kanavi moving in as well. Knight's on the way. Yeah, there.
Nah.
The handshake, but it doesn't actually stop it.
Waduh, teleport. Oke, nice.
Trying to bail himself out, but it does not work. And now Knight's looking for the opportunity. Cease and desist on the BDD, and he gets picked up by the pop blossom.
Ah, ini pegonya. Oh, nice.
Hampir dapat di reset.
Cannot find it. BDD is now running for the hills. He needs it.
Ups.
He wants to get out of this
Oh,
one.
bisa lagi.
Dodges the zap, and that should be enough.
It's a disaster for KT in game 1. They managed to turn around the bot lane play, but JDG
Gua mending buat tulisan lo nggak ada akses buat nonton WRL. Banyak yang minta Nobar WRL padahal lo kan nggak bisa akses. Nggak apa-apa lah cuy.
And really big there is that BDD.
The snare is not going
Kayak
to live.
tulisannya bakal dibaca.
Recallnya nggak diganggu. Recall yang si ini tadi. Siapa namanya?
Even though he's able to get out of there as the traps will keep
Si Nico ya.
teleporting into the middle of that if you're a Kali, great. Definitely gonna work out. But you see here
Habis ini ada match apa lagi, Kur? Nggak ada, cuma satu doang.
as 369 being confident here is not doing too hot when it comes to the items, but maybe hoping Keen overinvest, still gonna catch the wave. These early skirmishes though going the way of JDG is a really big difference from the previous games. Kanavi standing here, watching KT start this up, trying to equalize the Dragon score.
Should mean with the man advantage that KT have. Oh, never mind. Missing is still just diving into the back of this pit.
Oh, ini yang root.
There it is. Oh, the
Lah. Lah. Oh, itu kena ulti Renata tadi ya?
This is going to be a big one, but the fight is still going. Keen turns up. Missing's trying to get out with the grand entrance. Keen, can he find it?
Gak nyampe.
No. And Missing just
Ulah. Udah santai.
And the entire time, 369 is pushing the top side. He's going to be able to get some of the plates that are on this top end tower and even up that matchup.
Tiwan besok Nobar dong.
But they just couldn't quite get the kill on Missing.
Ulti Renata nggak ada damage bang.
Worth the investment, right? You spend the teleport.
Kan ultinya yang ini kan, yang ngekontrol musuh kan, yang musuhnya jadi ini.
Cuman gue nggak tahu dah kalau itu bikin musuh mukulin netral.
Kalau dulu iya di trailernya. Jadi kalau misalnya dia nge-ulti musuh yang lagi nge-dragon, terus musuh yang dikontrol itu dapat dragon, kita yang dapat dragon.
Renata iya. Nggak pernah melatihin buat bisa itu sih.
Gets the charm on the 2, sets it up into Amy to blow that initial cleanse. And then this TP, as Kurohiko was saying, I mean, way too far forward for BDD. Knight's just able to walk in between everyone. And with Amy not having any opportunity to try to get away, and the just missing on that Moonlight Vigil sets up beautifully then for JDG to turn that fight.
Rafanmu kok bagus, Kur. Oh, bagus mic gue. Udah berapa tahun nih mikrofon gue ya? Udah 8 tahun lebih.
Of KT, and with the early game that even, you gotta imagine, as you were saying,
7 tahun lah, 7 tahun.
scaling elements with the Oriana and the Aphelios, but the range advantage of Jinx.
Halo Spinoza.
I mean, but game 1 we would have said JDG had the better team fight.
Aphelios OP kah? Bagus sih. ADC yang kepake itu Aphelios, saya, Kaisa, Ketlin, Jing, Zeri,
KT have proven today that there are no pushovers and JDG will have to
Tristana kepake nggak ya? Enggak ya?
Tristana lebih ke mid.
coming back up for nice and also having that control on top side. You can see how much more active JDG
Varus juga.
in pushing KT back, starting to get control of these
Terus
towers
ini
and
gue
plates
nggak pernah
and
lihat
looking
di
at this
sini.
Rift Herald in 20 seconds.
Oh ya AC. Kayak hampir semua DC kepake ya. Paling Tristana, Sivir udah nggak lagi ya.
Sivir masih.
Feels like 369 just feeling better and better
Ada
in
bang
this
yang
matchup.
kepake
Doesn't quite have his minions.
MF.
Lahen's taking a lot of
Apa?
damage here. This Knight does catch him out.
Oh ya MF, Nila.
Bit of a switcheroo maneuver there. As Kane once again going to be chained up. As he's just wandering.
Sena kepake kemarin. Menang malah. Hampir kena comeback.
Passing Kena masih bagus.
I really think that the biggest difference between this game and the last is how well JDG is able to keep track of Cuz on this Viego.
Kur tadi ada momen KTA kali di geng 3 orang tapi selamat. Iya. Di bot lane.
As a result, Kanavi being able to build up a huge lead.
Emang bakal ada hero namanya Hue ya? Tadi ada yang bahas aja.
And I think it speaks volumes of what Chronicle was just saying. The fact that, well, Kuz can really be that front line, but can do damage if he finds Kanavi.
Yeah, Kanavi not taking that much just yet, but Lahen's is in Cuz's back pocket. 369 has caught out Kane. He's trying to get to the team fight to help out the rest of KT. The Rift Herald getting involved.
Yoni, ya Yoni kepake.
Get over that wall should be A-okay. Maybe it's not Shellfish on the menu outside of the little one, just
Yoni itu yang bikin si tim Genji menang kemarin. Habis itu dia pakai Akali. Menang lagi. Wah ini juga nggak ada yang pakai. Wih, anjir.
Langsung berungkat.
Kena 4 anjir. Anjir masih selamat ya. Lah, mati dong. Woi, sempet tuh. Wush, anjing. Wah, anjing.
Ngebet ternyata. Master plan.
They get the Rift Herald, they get the fight, they get the mid lane tower. JDG have come alive in game 2.
And it's Knight that sets up the play, but it's Ruler that's the bad.
Kalau bisa sih 0-3 aja lah skornya ya. JDG nggak usah menang ya.
Man, knock up. And from that point on, missing with the follow-up, and sure, and the health bars are already so low. Lahen's has to bail out himself. That's when you know a fight is a bust.
And this is the thing, JDG had already cleared out all the vision behind them. They'd moved in to KT's red buff to contest it, so there's no vision to spot out Knight as he came in. He even teleported to the minion wave, not the mid-wave tower to finish that one off, so he can get that swing in. And then just the end, I mean, KT, they tried to get something back, but they just couldn't do it.
And you can see JDG, they are not ready to fully celebrate just yet. They're not standing up, they're not moving further forward.
Kue champion baru dan terakhir di tahun ini, skillnya berhubungan sama tinta. Oh, yang tinta itu ya.
I think so, especially for a best of 5, especially when the stakes are this high. Trying to pave that golden road.
Tahun ini masih mau keluar lagi.
Out of the 5 potential. Is Cuz going to give up this Drake? The first Hex Tech going to go over to JDG here. Kanavi getting some free time with it.
And something we haven't already discussed yet, but I do think
kalau ada Nila gini enak pakai Milio. Iya.
Composition is that there is no hard engage. Like actually reliably picking someone up becomes really hard, and with compositions like this that are really good at absorbing an initial blow but have a really tough time outside of picking people to start fights, JDG has really been able, I think, to navigate around. There's been so many occasions already where you see like.
Tapi info soal map bakal berubah tahun depan itu ada kan guys ya di LoL PC.
I'm doing my best, but as long as JDG respects the very limited engage range, it's hard for KT to force fights on their own terms.
Especially now that this is JDG's comfort zone. Mid lane towers down, right? We know how to play this out, lads. Push in mid, set up your vision on whatever side of the map you want to start taking these towers. We got Knight on bot side, fantastic. Let's play towards him. Now we rinse and repeat, reset, push mid.
Ada tapi belum fix.
You see 369 gonna collect this top wave and probably immediately.
Baron nggak ada pitnya. Terus Baronnya spawnnya di mana nanti?
369 and JDG are so good at playing out these things.
Kayak di Dota kah gitu?
Feels like going through the motions here for JDG. That last team fight certainly could be a big turning point, that big moment where now the gears just lock into place. KT they're pretty good at ruining gears. You know, this is a team epitomized by a roller coaster. So we'll see what they're going to be able to do to it. As Kanavi not going to find the ball breaker, but Keen going to have to slice his way out. Grand entrance not going to find the target, missing. Still, he can lurk around, he can zone them away, and they're still going to grab the turret.
Yeah, it's a flash invested, but they do get a turret because of the fact that the rest of KT needs to respect, so I think you'll take that.
Unlocking Hex Splash.
I like it. Yeah, good point.
Got to make sure you get that value.
Also, just the value that this Jinx has at the moment is absolutely absurd. 2 items now completed. She'll be quickly working up towards that rapid fire cannon. Ruler is poised to take over this game, and nice. Trying to see if he can take over against BDD.
Tas. Ya, gak ada damage anjing. Wes. Satu lagi. Iya. Bang, santai bang.
Taking him down. Still a 1-for-1, and he wins the solo kill there against Knight.
And the summoner spell advantage. JDG had to TP 369 in, so they lost control of this top side and immediately shoving mid, getting control of this jungle. Cuz will be spotted here though, but I think he's going to be
just trying to do what he can.
Pedalnya miss, iya anjir.
Doesn't have enough damage. Does Cuz? Or it doesn't have enough of an ability to lock down a Rakan. It's not very many.
Halo Janu.
It says a lot about the state of the game as well, that even with JDG having to invest multiple people towards taking down BDD after he is able to win that 1v1, and KT still doesn't get anything on the other end of the map. They still haven't taken a single turret this game, right? Because JDG have been able to keep them away from those turrets very consistently, as we do see BDD, the one who set it at play, very aware of his own damage. And Knight just doesn't have the burst to take down, especially with the sidestep.
Oh, and Keen tries. Okay, wasn't actually able to get the W off.
Yeah.
Just not ruthless enough. Still may not have been too much.
Yeah, I don't think it would have mattered. I think he dies anyway. Actually might end up not feeling too bad about it, but maybe they could have punished 369 if they do get the cancel.
Yeah, would have had to wait and see. Now though, Knight, well, it's not Knight, but at least hovering around for a little bit here. KT will spot out that at least at the moment JDG are on their bot side and trying to push him out.
Yeah, Cuz looking for that opportunity. Got a couple of cooldowns here from missing, but he is.
Ini WildRift patch berapa bang?
KT not really looking
Ini
like
PC
they have the
anjing.
same level of poise, level of control that they had in the last game.
I really want to highlight missing, because to me, he's the one that is the most like, KT, what are you going to do? How are you going to let me down, huh?
Asal dirubah kok nggak ada yang pick bang.
And his continuous
Di rank
presence,
doang mah.
moving forward, trying to bait out cooldowns, and maintaining the vision line for JDG is so big, because it doesn't really give KT the opportunity to try and get Keen in a flanking position, try and get Cuz onto the enemy backliners. That's a ruler spot, but he has the support to back him up.
Certainly does.
He has everyone, and he has the dragon in 30 seconds, so as long as he doesn't go down, he's okay. But as you say, I don't think unless you want to go in with the Moonlight Vigil or a Flash Auto from this Aphelios, you're going to be able to lock him down particularly much.
See whether KT can actually get themselves into a position to even set up for a 5v5. Of course, it is soul point availability, and it's a pretty good soul at that. For JDG, could really set them up to move towards that snowball. And Kanavi looking to get over this wall.
Yeah, looking at the item breakpoints, Keen just finished a Starix. I was about to comment on that because that was a really big gap. Starix is an immense power spike. It's mostly Kanavi that's super far ahead. Aiming did actually hit his 2-item power spike, so gonna feel okay. BD doesn't quite have his death cap yet. Would have loved that for this fight.
Bang, dukung yang mana? Gua sekarang dukungnya KT kalau bisa 0-3 skornya.
369 though, he's got push in mid and could look for a really big flank on KT here.
Look at the vision.
Yeah, Aiming's got decent guns, does move to a Calibrum for some extra range, and now KT, they're in a choke point, the charm's too massive from the quickness, and BDD is not going to get bailed out of this one. 369 lost their last skill, and they are just running them over. Keen is trying to be a blender, but he's just getting one that Cuz gets out of there, but that is 4 for JDG, and they look unstoppable.
It is a three-pronged approach from JDG. 369 from one side, Knight teleporting from the other, and KT trying to contest this dragon. It's going to cost them everyone but Cuz, and a Baron as well.
They don't even care about the dragon. They know that JDG can immediately turn over towards this Baron. It's such a massive...
Tapi ini kayaknya menang JDG sih. Kecuali blunder kayaknya ya.
Try to get that position, but with having control of the map for
Cuman
JDG. The TP's
blundernya
coming
juga
in.
kayaknya udah nyampe yang
369 coming
blunder
over the wall. You get the
gede
TP
banget.
to that bot side as well.
Kalau JDG puterin base kanan ya.
Nah itu baru tuh kena marah manajer habis itu. Terus bubar. Habis itu Baronnya jadi ini, jadi atrok fit TikTok. Itu yang di dinding dari tadi skill siapa Kur? Di dinding.
Viego kayaknya yang kabut.
Oh yang kabut-kabut itu Viego. Dia jadi di dinding itu dia bisa ngilang dalamnya cuy. Kamuflase lah.
Push multiple waves, slowly but surely pick yourself apart, and KT are trying their damnedest to get resources onto Amy as he's going to clear out this top wave tower, but it means that you're going to lose almost everything here on the bottom half of the map.
Yeah, they are just going to be able to take down this inner turret. Inner in the mid lane also falling as Amy versus 369. Don't like your chances, Amy, and he's just going to be put in the ground.
Flash. He's like, no.
Dede, game 3 aja buruan.
These inhibitor turrets are going to follow suit. Keen looking for some sort of opportunity to keep himself alive, but he's just getting torn apart. Kanavi once again just queuing forward. He is not afraid of anything. Shockwave going to be a...
Wish, wajing. Wah, udah. Jangan berharap comeback lagi sih. Ini bisa end nggak sih?
Udah bisa di end, udah end.
Mampus dibalas lebih kencang lagi. Tadi 29 menit ya?
Iya.
Tadi 29 apa 30 gitu. Sekarang 27 guys. 26 dibalesin, cok. Anjir.
Yang tadi pemanasan katanya.
Kalian tahu nggak sih kenapa skornya tuh tadi gue kasih 1 katanya? Itu bentuk respect terhadap tuan rumah kata JDG.
Biar kalian nggak terlalu maluin lah di rumah ya.
Biar fans kalian yang datang ramein itu nggak keceus gitu katanya.
Kemarin juga Genji dikasih dulu gitu ya. Biar rame dikit lah.
Biar fansnya nggak pulang katanya. Kayak di Valorant. Di Valorant pas di Brazil gitu. Pas timnya nggak ada lagi Brazil, orang-orangnya pada kabur aja, nggak ada lagi yang nonton. Bangke.
And breaking it down, we will, after KT started off phenomenally in Game 1. It was JDG that struck back, and I had to even up the KT ante on the desk just because they were not able to get ahead in that last game. So we brought our LCK expert, G-Sun, with us as well to talk about this game. But I do want to start with the...
Oh, apa dia anjir? Ini apa Terjo Burjo? Huo Serval Wolf apa? BO5 cuy.
KT's comp in terms of how the game could go awry for them.
I mean, that's the thing. When you have a composition like this, I feel like if you fall behind, it's going to be really hard to come back because of the champions you play and the agency that Cuz was leaving and the space that Cuz was leaving for the rest of his teammates later on and how he was setting them up. And when you're going to play a champion like Viego and play around this kind of composition, if you fall behind early, it's going to be really hard to come back.
Yeah, and then the other thing I do want to call out with this is that Knight was such a massive factor in this game, right? Like one thing that we unfortunately didn't have time to talk
Nih guys ya, gue kasih tahu sekali ini doang nih. Gue udah tanya ke orang Riot, tapi emang nggak bisa juga dibantu gitu. Nggak ada aksesnya ke mereka. Mereka tuh WRL tuh kayak tertutup gitu guys. Nggak tahu dah ini gimana. Nggak tahu dah gue harus ngekontaknya kemana lagi nih.
No, it was really hard for them. We saw that, Ji-sun, when you were talking to me during the game. You did say, despite losing this game, you saw some hopeful signs.
Coba kita lihat WRL. Mereka ada emailnya gak sih?
He was willing to make in draft.
I want to talk about BDD especially because game number 1 he had a phenomenal performance, and then game 2, well, yeah, it's just too bad that we lost game 2. I mean, KT lost game 2, but still, you know, we saw a huge performance in Orianna. He even got a solo kill in the side lane. I think it's a really telling story because right now, what we saw in Swiss stage, especially up against D plus Kia, we thought KT Rolster, they're not comfortable with the meta pick, so they're going back to top rise for Keen and also Azir for BDD. usually they're reluctant to take the meta picks, so they're just going for their comfort picks. But today, I think BDD with two different styles of gameplay on the mid lane, Kali and then
Okay,
Orianna,
thank you,
he was
Pete.
able to showcase a great performance. So I think this is a really good sign for KT, regardless of the results.
And we had the chance to talk to BDD in the LCK actually when they qualified for playoffs right before we went to the finals weekend, where he was saying, this is my best year so far, but I still have so much that I want to showcase at Worlds. And for me, that's exactly what he's been doing so far. But JDG woke up.
Yes, and I think this is where it becomes difficult because you're going up against a mid laner like Knight, who had a fantastic performance. As we get into the replays, let's talk about what transpired in the bot lane. We talked about the Rakan already.
Gak tahu juga gue harus kontaknya lewat mana ya guys ya. Apa lewat Twitter? Coba lewat Twitter.
This game that is this missing Rakan, right? Like this is where it really started going in JDG's favor, despite the fact that both TPs come in. Knight gets this ult off right here, and this is where like you see JDG's comp, how well it makes space for Ruler.
Anjir, tahu nggak sih, gue juga nggak bisa ngekontak WildRift Esport itu lewat Twitter karena kamu nggak bisa mengirimkan pesan ke user ini karena kamu tidak verified katanya, bangke. Harusnya checklist doang yang bisa ngekontak dia lewat Twitter anjing. Terus kontaknya lewat mana gitu loh.
And it is interesting because in a best of 5,
Bingung
you have to have a deep pool. And to relay to your point, Ji-sun, specifically, that it was a good point for KT that they are willing to not only go for comfort, but what is good within the meta. How deep do you think their pools are overall with what you've seen when we go into maybe a Game 3, a Game 4, a Game 5?
I want to say they are in a pretty good spot because all 5 players, they have a long experience here in League of Legends esports, which means they have such a deep champion pool because this is not the first time they have been performing on a big stage like this. They all been to playoffs.
Beli, mager banget anjir.
I'm pretty sure they have something under their sleeves.
And this is something we've been talking about at the beginning of the day, right? The fact that Genji, when they came into the series yesterday, it took them a long time to adapt to what the LPL had been cooking in these scrims that week. And it feels like KT, they're bringing the champions that they should be bringing, especially on the support lane. We've been talking about the fact that Lehans might have an issue adapting onto what Missing could be throwing at him. And so far, I feel like he's bringing the confidence. Let's see if he can translate this to my plays.
I'm trying to kind of translate what I am hearing because I feel we came into this day with knowing that JDG are huge favorites, right? And we're looking to find all the touching points for KT because we want to see 5 games and we want to see KT.
Tapi itu beneran namanya WRA kan guys? WRL kan? Apa WRLA?
Their comp was completely on point. Their engages were on point, and this is more of the JDG that we expected to see. Do you expect this is just what we're going to see for the rest of the day?
I mean, I think that this is what we.
WRLA ya.
I also think like. In terms of the way these compositions work in this game, once JDG got ahead, I can't stress enough how difficult it would be for KT just with what they have, because if you have a comp like KT's, you're essentially relying on JDG to come into you around objectives, right? And so if you are behind, you probably don't have that setup or vision to be able to do that. So
gak ada kontak yang bisa hubungi, cok, anjir lah.
Thanks to the reliable Cisco network, Knight finds the 4-man Pop Blossom at the Rift Herald to secure JDG the ace. He's 11 wins and 2 losses before this, so 12 wins and 2 losses.
Mau ngapain lu Korea itu buat dapetin akses buat nobarin WRLA. Biar player-player WildRift tidak iri aku tidak nobarin Wingrift.
4-man Pop Blossom. This was really where the game broke open for JDG. They're obviously not able to do anything, and Ruler is just able to clean up from the back.
Oh, Instagramnya bisa nih.
Off of this, I believe it's also, it looks like they're going to get out, and then Ruler flashes forward and gets another kill off of that. So obviously here is Knight versus BDD, who we did point out had a massive game 1 as well. So I am really looking forward to seeing how the series evolves with these mid laners, because I think they've both put up really strong performances for their teams.
And again, when you look at Knight's story international, he was looking to prove himself at MSI. He got this with the title that he got. BDD, for me, he's looking at the same thing because he's known for both his best moments and worst moments. And with this team and the performance he put on Game 1 and in the Swiss stage, for me, this is about redemption story for BDD and proving himself again at Worlds.
For so many players on the Rift today, it is. Thank you so much for your contributions. Don't get too excited. I think it's a little tempered now because JDG has put their best foot forward in Game 2. Let's see what happens in the next one.
Can he actually actually find it. Shape Splitter comes through to confuse them, but they will not be confused this time. First blood goes to Kaz. And KT are on the board. And he gets picked up by the Pop Blossom, has to flash. Moonlight Vigil is going to miss. Yeah, Kanavi gonna go back in. No way.
Bang, hujan nggak? Di tempat gue cuman gemuruh doang anjir tadi. Ternyata nggak hujan anjir.
Gue lagi tiba-tiba badai hujan nih.
Oh, hujan lagi tempat lu.
Iya. Lebih galau yang ini, tiba-tiba gede, tiba-tiba kecil.
Bringing in a new roommate to save money, is that the plan?
Say hi to Glenn from work.
Yeah, I think I have a much better plan. We switched to my plan from Verizon.
That is a good plan. Glenn.
Get my plan starting at just $25 when you bring your own phones. Plus, save when you add perks like the Disney bundle. It's your Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Tuh udah gue kontak WildRift Esport lewat Instagramnya guys. Bang, kenapa orang Korea setel rambutnya sama semua? Karena lagi tren kali. Skin World Lain tuh pas ya, Kor? Iya. Kayak Battle Pass. Cuman Battle Pass itu khusus World doang gitu. Di Lopis itu banyak Battle Pass-nya.
World Lain itu beli.
Oh, beli doang bukan pas.
Beda, bukan.
Di LoL PC itu ada event ini, ada battle pass-nya gitu-gitu.
Kalau skin world itu tuh lu beli. Semua orang yang beli skin tuh jadi dijadiin prize pool ke worlds-nya.
Oh.
Makin banyak yang beli jadi prize pool-nya makin nambah.
Nih sama orang rakyatnya diusahain coba nanya ke orang Vietnam guys buat dapetin aset WildRift Esport. WRLA ya. Ini WildRift ini masih regular stage day ya. Regular stage day itu maksudnya grup stage ya, Nardi?
Harusnya.
Soalnya di website WildRift Esportnya pun standingnya nggak di-upgrade anjir, nggak di-update gitu.
Udah niat kagak niat itu berarti.
WRL Asia. Nah ini di Wikipedia aja ini masih yang knockout stage yang bulan Juli ini.
Saking nggak taunya harus cari info di mana.
Iya, bingung gue. Oh ini kali ya season 2 ini kali ya. Oh iya nih season 2 nih. Kayaknya ini sih. Sampai kapan ini mereka ya?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for game number 3. It is just a best of 3. We're 1-1. We're all tied up. We'll see who's going to be able to reign supreme in this one. Blue side for KT for the very first time.
Well, pas proses cepet bang, top up maksudnya cepet kok.
Gentlemen, what do we think?
I mean, they won on red, so I mean, we'll have to see now if they can try and swing it back to the other direction.
But I've got a counter. They also lost on red.
Oh, okay. So this is new territory for all of us.
There we go.
Exactly. We'll have to try and figure it out. But I also want to see how we figure out this draft. Because, I mean, Nico actually banned away by JDG. I thought we were kind of discussing before we came into this that we thought that would be
Oh enggak anjir. Sampai Januari ternyata.
With the way BDD has been piloting that champion to annoy everyone to trigger themselves and guess what was happening for champions, for minions, but Renata taken away as well. I think at the moment it's going to be high priority on Xayah, yeah.
Yeah, they have to, right? Like I think KT.
Jadi tiap tim mobile release main nggak? Main.
Because if you give over the Xayah to ruler, it's not happening.
The problem now is, don't you just get jinxed and then you still have the
tempat streaming Riot release lu stream di
we're going to try and
Riot
see
release.
what comes around this draft afterwards. Is the Orianna going to be the consideration here for Knight once again now that Nico has been taken away?
It definitely feels like there's some sort of response here. I mean, you don't leave the Xayah up unless you're very much aware that the Xayah is going to be taken here. So I think the big question.
Oh, Riot mau bikin kayak ini, kayak Twitch gitu. Gak tau deh ya. Ngeri banget Riot mau bersaing sama Twitch sama YouTube anjir. Itu mix aja dulu udah gagal. Terus setelah mix ada apa ya yang eksekusi pindah itu ya, lupa.
This is a classic though. BDD on his favorite bird could be a good pickup here. We'll see if it actually ends up getting locked in, because I do really believe that one of the biggest advantages that KT had
kick. Apanya kick? Oh ya, kick namanya, kick. Kira apaan kick anjing.
Even though it is one of his hallmark picks, it is a lot harder to do that consistently.
We do now have to make sure that we keep
Ninja di kick juga sekarang.
Bukannya dia yang jadi brand ambassadornya kick ya? Lupa.
XQC kan?
Does make for a lot of stress here on the caster desk. Engage options. This is definitely comfort for Lahens. Like you're saying, Chronicler, this is how he gets.
Tapi kayaknya mereka mau fokus streamernya di game mereka doang. Ya pasti, soalnya mereka punya Valorant yang super gede, punya World yang super gede, itu pasti di streaming di sana. Nanti bakal ada Nobar World guys, sudah bisa gue kasih tau. Tahu gak ya? Di Jakarta nanti bakal ada Nobar World di final guys. Tempatnya di salah satu mall. Datang gak sih guys? Berarti gue kayaknya nggak dapat akses deh.
Largest champion pools that we have as far as jungle is concerned, of course, cuz maybe more on the eclectic side, not necessarily the large side, but Kanavi can play actually every champion ever.
All I'm saying is he's played things like Shaco jungle before, he's played a huge amount of stuff, and like there was a combo coming into Worlds which was this like Shaco Orianna combo, so I'm kind of holding my breath to see maybe at some stage we get it, but
Twitch
I don't know.
Twitch Shaco 4-5 on red.
So
that's it. That's the dream.
I want to bring up a story of something that actually happened.
Mau mana? Masih belum diumumin. TBA. Teuku Bastian Aldi.
Finally get the opportunity to pay back, but
Boleh saran waktu review skin recallnya pakai default aja biar kelihatan jelas gitu recall dari skinnya. Emang harusnya gitu sih, cuman gue suka lupa Rapli. Nobar final aja bang. Gue nggak bakal bisa nobar final soalnya Vietnam yang dapet. Nobarnya bang, biji lu. Berarti harus ada yang stream dong kalau nobarnya.
a short range here for JDG.
Itu Sivir dipakai, cuy.
Sivir masih bagus sebenarnya.
Ini baronnya siapa ya? Jax lagi kah?
I think it is going to be a bit of a tough fight here for Ruler to stay safe as the game starts to go on. But especially, I think if you don't have the, well, actually, I was going to say if the Vi is going to come through and maybe.
Tumben nih ada yang berani main ke santai kanan kiri.
Iya, jadi nggak ada main santai. Rel lagi.
Not really going very deep into the champion.
Wih, ada Maokai. Maokai jungle.
On JDG side, a little bit more fun if it is the Lee Sin, but we'll stop talking about hovers, and by we, I mean me. Jackson Aatrox, something that has
nggak usah banyak gaya lu.
Paling ujung-ujungnya itu Maokai.
Probably just flexing, basically saying I can play almost anything here, but the timer is going to run out. He's going to have to decide. And it is going to be the Wukong in the end. There is so much AoE team fight here from JDG.
And that's why I much prefer the Wukong. I think the Vi, you don't really have a target you want to go towards. Seer ultimate, Zaya ultimate makes it very difficult for you to find that fight. But if you're able to get in a Wukong onto this backline, any access at all for a split second, Orianna ult across the backline, then you get the follow-up bulge, you get the AoE coming through from the Sivir. It actually makes these fights incredibly potent from JDG's side, and KT will have to make sure they're getting to the objective first.
Bagusnya apa, Kur? Clearnya cepet, sisinya banyak,
Damage-nya gede itu kan.
damage-nya sakit, mobility-nya oke. Pakai Sivir biar akarnya makin kencang larinya. Emang ada tambahan? Kalau ngulti satu temennya dapat movement speed ya?
Semua satu tim yang di depan dia.
Lupa aja, padahal kayaknya gue udah bahas.
Kalau Sivirnya ability kena musuh, dia juga dapat tambahan movement.
Pintain ke raid final nggak bisa cuy, soalnya cuma 1 per Asia doang yang dapat, 1 per SEA doang yang dapat Vietnam. 1 di SEA, 1 di Asia, 1 di NA, 1 di sekian gitu. Pokoknya nobarnya itu cuma ada 5 live maksimal di dunia.
I think the one angle for KT is that there are a lot of item reliant carries on JDG.
Kalau final kayak enggak.
If you can get an early lead again and not allow Ruler to get to his items, could be an angle.
Certainly could, but here we are onto the Rift for the third game of this best of 5 series. KT, one of the last 2 hopes for the LCK, now up against the tournament favorites in JDG. And remember guys, you can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive Brom W emote. One of the best emotes ever created ever.
It is a banger.
One of the best emote create ever. Apaan aja biasa aja.
Because I cannot even attempt.
Mukanya sih lucu.
Just to remind you guys,
Botaknya kayak botak Andre.
he's extraordinarily good at this champion. He has played so many games. Him and Faker, 2 of the players that are over 100 games on this champion, and in fact, BDD is over 130. He currently has a 61.
Gaming nggak bisa diklaim, kira-kira kenapa ya, Kur? Nge-lag aja kali. Emang agak berat sih Prime Gaming Amazon.
In the LCK, it's often banned.
Enggak.
This time
Atau enggak ada kemungkinan kedua gara-gara kamu mainnya di SEA.
Oh, di SEA belum bisa?
Banyak yang connect sama Riot account, apa sih istilahnya fitur connect sana sini di SEA banyak yang belum kena akses.
And keep track of where this rel is going, because I do think that as good as Kanavi's team fighting has been, because its early game has to me been one of the most impressive parts.
Kecuali di kliennya udah dipromosiin gitu ada page-nya. Nah itu biasanya baru bisa.
I also think these more tank-oriented junglers just allow Kuz to face check, which in a lot of situations last game KT really struggled.
Wildcore 118.500 masih ada masih. Kenapa nggak stream Dota? Waduh, Dota mah buat streamnya itu bukan di invite, bayar anjir. Lu bayar per key-nya tuh buat bisa streaming. Dan harganya tuh kayak puluhan apa ratusan juta gitu. Gila loh. Setahun gue stream WildRift nggak bakal dapet segitu.
as you can see, aiming in Lahen's just trying to stand their ground. BDD shoving quite nicely, Keen with control topside.
I actually like this from Cuz. You can see he did all 3 camps bot, but did it on a ward. So you think, oh, we saw him move back towards bot side, which is why you see the ward placed by the JDG bot lane in River. They're trying to psych them out, and even you can see Wukong immediately move over towards his blue because he wants to make sure that's going to be secure. So for the moment, Cuz is kind of playing on the heartstrings of JDG, trying to get them to think he's not in positions that he is.
Also see Keen going for something we've seen a lot of Jaxes do, which is very early in the, especially with lethal tempo. Like your first couple of levels are so insanely lethal. So 369 has to respect. Gonna get you a free back your S Keen. Probably don't even have to invest your
Kayaknya dihilangin
And
tuh
this is one of the
plating
ones that
atas.
I actually maybe didn't
Jacknya
pick up
dapet.
for it right there, because GB has been a big proponent of this and has been screaming about it from the rafters. Is if you go for the 4th wave and you actually go for the farming behind the tower, you can pick up Sheen on this first reset, TP back to lane, and you end up incredibly strong. But Keen actually not going to be going for that. Just happy enough to pick up a longsword and walk his way back to lane for the moment.
Hook going to be spell shielded there. The answering knockup is good there from Missing. Health trade going to
Map
be
ngeblur.
here by JDG as Cuz collects himself a Rift Scotland Knight. Not a lot of mana. He's going to be going back home here as aiming down to 300 in the bottom lane. JDG kind of taken over down here.
T1 besok
Pretty
cuy.
good with this Sivir Rakan.
Navi looking for the invade on this top side.
Yeah,
Let's put out that the chickens have respawned. That would also now give information to KT that Wukong is on this.
Nah, itu ada knockbacknya.
I don't think they really want to go for too much. Knight doesn't have control over mid. It's more about, hey,
Enggak, itu kayak kena knockback tadi si Atrox
for
sih.
our bottom lane to finally
Oh,
crash this
enggak,
wave.
dia itu sambil
Maybe
dash.
turret plays.
Bit of an opportunity perhaps.
Sambil dash, tapi
as
tetap
aiming, I believe,
kena stun.
ghosted to lane.
Jadi
Just to make
kelihatan
sure that he can
knockback.
get back after this reset, hopefully get the cannon.
And aiming, there's a reason why I was actually expecting him to continue banning Desire. It's because it's not traditionally one of his best champions, right? It's been the Zeri, the Kaisa. This players really excels in BDD. Might be in trouble here, but will respect, not going to get taken out. But the fact that he already is being put this far behind in the pure 2v2 with Kanavi not even doing so much as looking towards that bot lane, it's a really big early win for JDG.
Goes though, trying to see if you can spot out Kanavi here again. A huge amount of this again is the information game.
Bayarnya itu major biar nggak delay doang dan dapat clean feed. Tapi tetap nggak bisa kan, walaupun lu nobarnya di YouTube gitu nggak bakal boleh nih.
Fight this one out for the chickens. How's the smite fingers, boys? See how they do lock this one down. Meanwhile, Missing is going to get hooked. Gets taken down extraordinarily low. Gets a bit of a heal, though, as the Gleaming Quill did connect. And KT, they'll have to just accept a decent trade here on this bottom side. Unless Lahen's can find a hook. Here in the mid lane, Kanavi and Knight just trying to get Knight a good back time.
Itu saya lethal tempo. Iya. Lethal tempo di sini bagus, naikin range ya Nadia.
For everyone at home, see the purple bar just underneath the faces of each of the champions. That's what is the XP bar. So you can see Knight there just ticking over to level 6. So keep your eyes on it as Kanavi and Cuz find each other again.
Yeah, Kanavi down a bit of a shot here across the bow. Cuz finds the shattering strike.
Tampol heal satu
Just a
doang sakit
1v1.
banget nih.
Neither of these bottom lanes too interested. Wave getting stacked up here by JDG. They have some control. That means Cuz has to back away. And into the river goes Knight as well. Always seems to be hovering, ready to help out here towards this bottom side. This is that play that you were talking about, Dacta. They're going to go for this first dragon. Don't think KT can do too much about it, although Cuz is moving in towards this bottom lane, looking for a possible gank angle. They do get the spell shield out of Ruler. That's now on cooldown, and now they're looking to chase out Cuz. In the meantime, they are just taking the dragon.
Iya, gua kira tadi Diana anjir. Sivir. Kayak Diana loh style. Wih, hitam banget tuh Atrox. Itu emotnya barusan janji ya. Emotnya pas habis dapet dragon.
Iya.
Not going to be too bothered, and the Halo Blades, I think, really allows the Azir to play pretty
Di
consistently
si Ruler kan sebelumnya dari Genji kali, makanya dia ngomong gitu.
He's been doing a great job of punishing Knight in these early stages. And you can see once you get access to that Orianna ult, if there's no objectives up, you might as well toss it out. It does push BDD back. It does give you the opportunity to maybe crash this wave, but he doesn't know BDD's healed and doesn't know the Cuz is here.
Yeah, Knight, not a lot of mana available here, as we can see, but he's going to be able to get that last cog out and does manage to thin out the wave. BDD catches it, and Cuz slinks back into the fog of war, grabs some more of his camps. As far as gold is concerned, there is nothing to talk about really at all, outside of the fact that one dragon was picked up by JDG.
And it's a pretty uneventful early game. And
Ada tempo tuh maksudnya gimana bang? Rune Rune naikin attack speed. Kalau di low PC naikin range-nya juga. Range PC attack.
Really will come down, I think, to how the mid game is set up here, because either of these two teams, if you do get control and you start getting ahead, hit those item breakpoints, it can be really hard to consistently fight fights on the other end.
The Hens has level 6 here, though. You can see Missing just ticking over. Ruler and Aiming both still don't have theirs available, as Ruler just now gets it. I think a lot of this for JDG is we want to try and slow push out this bot wave, so we can either look towards the Rift Herald or at least get some hurt onto the Hens. Oriana having that quicker reset in mid also gives her the tempo advantage there, so JDG just slowly but surely kind of working their way up towards this Rift Herald to secure that one again.
Yeah, Lahen's actually going to get spotted here.
Yang naik kuda nggak ada di wing rip belum.
Grand entrance over to him. It looks like JDG will just claim this Rift Herald. No contest here from KT, realizing that they were beaten to the punch on this one. Kanavi will collect the iron. That is some money in waiting. Lahens, will he actually invest? No. Decides to hold on to it. Depth charge kept in the back pocket. Missing. Once again, rotating over
nice
for an opportunity. Level 8.
The low health bar Missing could set up for a potential play onto the bottom half of the map, though. Missing is trying to hope Knight keep control of midwave to prevent that happening, but with Missing now being taken low and having low mana, the Hen's going to be able to move bot, but with Kuz staying on this top end of the map, I don't really think you have an opportunity to really go for more.
Both supports just doing exactly the same thing, invading enemy jungle, setting up a ward, and then immediately recalling.
Untuk info tanggal rilis champion skin ada di kurohiko.id. Silakan akses kurohiko.id.
As they're going up, Kanavi is hiding in the shadows though.
Yeah, Kaz looking for that opportunity. Well done, it comes down. There's the Magnus Storm. Blood goes to Keen though. Empress Divide going to be used for the disengage, and they'll take a plate along with it.
Where'd he go? You blink and 369 is gone. Had his flash to try and get there, was too late to the
Aduh, OBS gue reconnect.
They knew that Kuz was on his way up, but I don't know if they knew about BDD as well. So I think with this play, they were ready to try and fight for the 2v2. But you see, the moment that BDD shows up, the 100-0 is just there. No drain tanking available, and Kanavi just doesn't get to join the play soon enough.
Great ultimate from BDD to disengage there as well, and that was exactly what I wanted to see from KT. JDG had already gotten control of Dragon, they gotten the Rift Herald, they kind of slowly but surely were starting to pick up speed, but disrupting that top side now, getting that kill for the Jax, and using the lane pressure that BDD should be able to get is exactly how KT can try and get this tempo back in their favor.
Not going to be too much of an issue as far as the global objectives are concerned, though. Of course, JDG will be able to get back out onto the map, contest for this next Dragon. Going to be the mountain here. Will take either team a very long time to take down. Of course, the huge health pool of that particular Dragon. They should still be able to contest Vision.
And the biggest win, I think, there for KT is that they are both getting the teleport from Knight, and Kanavi will not have flash. So that does mean that if they try to contest for this upcoming Drake, which I do think both teams are going to be looking towards, it is something that maybe they get to utilize. Knight, obviously, in mid should still be able to join, but maybe a little bit later, maybe BDD can get an extra back in.
I don't think JDG can contest KT here. I mean, even the fact Radiant Virtue now complete on Kuz, thanks to that assist that he'd had, he's going to be in a great spot. You're going to get a reset coming through first here from BDD. I don't think he'll have his mythic, but just being in a position to follow up, and also Ruler not being able to capitalize on the fact he had this strong early game to get a mythic for himself. It just feels like KT are too powerful at the moment, but maybe JDG are feeling the same way, because Missing is very much poking his head in.
Missing is not afraid of anything at all. He hasn't been all tournament, just happy to walk over and gather as much information as he would like.
Sometimes I wish he would be.
Yeah, it is a little bit heart attack worthy, perhaps. As he moves down towards Ruler once again. Lahens still on the chase. Got a bit of a fight here towards his top side as well, as we can see. 369 landing a few of these abilities, but I believe he's already put his World Ender on cooldown. Keen trading ultimates.
Oh, Kanavi does have to find Sunder done. And KT doesn't look like they're starting a Dragon right now. So should be an opportunity here for JDG to contest. With the Mythic Spike also being available, there's also still a Herald that can be put down. So JDG have the option. Do we go for the 4v4, or do we send the Herald and get some plates?
I think it's going to be the Herald angle. I thought maybe we get BDD try and fully push mid, reset, TP back in with his Mythic, because I'm pretty sure now he should have enough gold for it. But when Mythic's just been plonked down in mid, JDG want to look for the fight.
Yeah, reset comes through on the Dragon. Now it's JDG that is set up. Cuz moving on over, spotted on the ward,
Ini nggak mau ngajar si Katechus aja kan?
BDD is trying to deal with this giant piece of shellfish, and it looks like it is going to be 2 Drakes going over to JDG in trade for no money picked up from that Rift Herald. So 2 plates, I guess, and it's going to be Earth, Wind, and Fire, boys. This is we can group tonight, guaranteed. Okay, Cuz is just caught out. The Magna Storm is going to be used.
Goodbye, bro.
More of just a celebration of the circles, and JDG, they'll grab a red buff as well.
I mean, great pickoff. You get the dragon. I was about to say, as long as KT are playing this safe, they should be able to slow down the pace of the game, give Azir time to scale, look at like aiming, Keen, getting to positions where they're super happy, but Kanavi playing off of the wave pressure that he had, immediately going, and now Keen, what's happening here?
Yeah, I don't know how we got to this point, but it's not exactly great news. 369 really feeling good about how this one's working. Okay. Yeah, King doesn't have a lot of options, and now Counter-Strike is on cooldown as well. In comes BDD.
Ini Atroxnya habis karena minion doang anjing darahnya.
He's going to pick that one up, but BDD had to invest his flash, and it's a 1-for-1 in the end.
That was pixels away from missing from 369. Just barely catches him, the Darkened Blade, and now the TP up to top side just to try and keep that CS in favor of JDG.
Yeah, like that. Able to get the blade on mid. BDD will not be able to pick up the wave and then simultaneously guard the top side plates. As, we've seen Lance in this position before. Can they actually win the 2v2 though? I'm not so sure. Yeah, Lance is
Oops.
Like, interrupted as well as now Ruler gets all of that extra movement speed. Boomerang blade landing as well. Every bit of damage secured by the Sivir. Getting a little bit scary even with just 1 item. Of course, the scaling of Sivir is not necessarily something that spikes on 1.
It's going to be late on the reset. He wants to try and get up towards this Rift Herald. Missing, poking his head in around again, but he knows he's got the advantage when it comes towards moving up towards his top end. Ruler has already disappeared into mid lane to catch that wave, so just a nice opportunity, but we won't get any more information into what happened here. Unfortunately, we're just going to get to see Keen go down.
And here the problem is Keen doesn't actually have any mana available, right? 369 does a really good job of not getting hit by the initial counter-strike and then hits him with the flash. If you invest that flash and BDD still kills you and Keen gets out, could have been a disaster. Instead, you trade 1-for-1 and you're really happy on the play because of the response that came through. As Teleport coming through, aiming.
He's gone real aggressive, does manage to get the Blade Caller onto 369. Bit of a, just going to do a bit of damage, but I do really like it from aiming.
It's a counter punch because on the top side of the map, JDG are picking up the Herald.
That's the problem though. They're probably going to pick up top tower if they really want to. You can see Knight is already pushing there.
Tapi di sana nggak terlalu beda Jax.
Top lane's a bit too healthy, but I think you'd be able to trade this pretty effectively. So in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather get this mid lane tower here for JDG than worry about boss.
Well, the lane economy snapshot provided by MasterCard is pretty good for Kanavi. On the other side of things, KT doing all right. Rift Herald going to come down and try and even that score, maybe even a kill onto the Jax also, but they decide not to commit more because, of course, not going to bite off more than they necessarily need to. No plates game with that turret though, but that is not very far away from dead.
It still forces a response though from everyone on KT, and now they're really behind the curve, right? JDG continuously pushing in these side waves and getting.
Kan masih Jax yang lama, dia baru kan itu orang ulti udah berubah kan.
And BDD
misses the Emperor's Divide. Going to be able to get out of there. Knight only needed the dissonance movement speed for that one as well. Holds onto the flash. Kind of huge here. BDD still without his.
Yeah, I think BDD is trying to get the flash there. Even by yourself, I don't know if you actually have enough damage unless.
Itu tadi ultinya kayak udah nge-stun deh, soalnya ada efek yang gitu. Bukan nge-stun apa nih, nge-damage.
Cuma nge-damage ya. Gets to go back with an extra bag of gold.
And as well now with a minute until this next dragon, you're going to be in a great position here for JDG. Not having that Emperor's Divide makes it hard to make a play up towards BDD, so you're keeping your eyes on Kuz to see what he can potentially do and finding the pick before this next one starts. When I look at the items that have been picked up for JDG, they are in such a good spot to try and contend with KT when it comes to this next objective, especially when the resets start to come through for the final little bit for Ruler.
And we just need to see who's going to be able to find the team fight on their terms. JDG, a team incredibly adept at getting that. The wombo combo from this composition, fantastic. I find it a little bit of a worry, though, when there is the Azir from BDD on the other side of things. Because he can always find these angles. We might see an opportunity here, but the Shattering Strike is going to say no. KT will try and get away. They will be successful.
Yeah, you're starting to see as well. KT's trying to set up side lanes. Already Keen pushing in. But if they don't actually catch anyone on JDG, JDG is going to be able to bounce the waves back. Fighting for this dragon, and I think for KT this is a must-get. Can't allow JDG to get soul point this early on.
Bawa late game ya.
Control of the map, absolutely massive. Keen taking a big chunk there, about a third of his health bar from an attack dissonance combo. These commands from the Orianna. KT looking to close in. It's a familiar area. Opposite sides of the rift though for both of these teams. KT still looking to try and get out of here. The Q doesn't work either.
Atrox. Enggak ada ulti Atrox. Oh, baru pakai.
Manages to take him down, and now Kuz is on the run. Kanavi is looking for him. It's a double for the Sivir, and they are not done yet. In they go once again. The Crashdown tries to get Kuz, but is he going to survive? He is. Still, KT are done with this fight.
Dah free dragon. Satu lagi dapat soul.
Sivir juga double kill, udah sih.
They see the moment of weakness, a lot of investment,
Game 4.
and soul point to boot.
And it's an absolute disaster for KT. The positioning there on river just wasn't what they wanted at all.
Larinya kok kayak maling semua. Soalnya mereka ini dragon angin tadi soalnya. Dragon angin itu di sekitaran buff itu nambah movement speednya. Ditambah ada Sivir juga yang ngebuff movement speed.
You can see where 369 is coming from. He has an incredible position, but I think the panic goes from KT is what comes back to bite.
I'm also wondering what happened to AD in that fight, right? Because he wasn't able to actually do any damage. BDD obviously bought a little bit of time, but wasn't nearly enough. And you know, this is not taking into account that this is JDG Ruler.
Ketangkap. Mamam tuh nggak lepas. Lepas pun
menang bagus.
Yeah, we've seen this a million times, Atlas. You know, sometimes it's nice to see that something stayed the same as Ruler. And that's actually really big, because that means that there is no flash on the Sivir as we go back to the previous fight.
I want to watch here though, because you've got the flank here, you've got the flank coming through, but watch these panic ults that come through from BDD and Kuz. So as
nice Wukong. Nice banget.
Magnetic Storm keeps Kanavi on BDD. It means he doesn't get the separation.
Azirnya dari sini, cuman nggak kedorong ya.
Hence is going to get taken out in this one. Aiming trying to offer some damage back, but they are some tanky members of JDG. Now Kuz, 1 versus 3, but does have BDD waiting in the wings. The Magnet Storm comes through. BDD trying to get the autos across, is now aiming, is going to join.
Ada teleport. Kok balikin dong? Oh, anjir kena. Anjir nice.
Anjir. Hampir dapat Wukongnya.
Ya kasih aja itu.
And it starts off with a great play from Missing and Kanavi, but then KT is able to turn it around. It will be a 1-for-1 trade, I think, but the kills going over to aiming is a big win for them.
I mean, the fact you get those kills, but also massively whiffed Shockwave by Knight. Does absolutely nothing in that fight, and it means that Kanavi ends up having to go forward, try to get into position where he can follow through, and KT, they needed something to try and slow down this momentum, and that might have just been it.
I think Kanavi was ready to run away with this game, sitting at 1-0 and 3. And it all started with the Hens getting caught.
Very reminiscent of the play the setup towards bot side, right? It's this Rakan Wukong.
Bagus ini dapat tadi.
And then here it feels initially like KT overplay their hand with Kuz. This is aftershock rel, so Kuz, very tanky, is able to absorb the initial damage.
And I like Missing trying to get onto BDD here to keep him out of the fight, but great positioning, sets it back up. Now watch the shockwave, flashed away by BDD.
Free hit anjir tuh, sayahnya ke Wukong.
And then look at BDD.
Wukong tadi darah masih banyak.
369 and Ruler late to the fight because Ruler got picked off in the early stage.
Harapnya bisa bunuh burungnya, kan nggak bisa.
Punishing JDG really well for that overextension.
Yeah, on the hunt was used there by Ruler to try and get into the fight, but just wasn't there for it. Nice opportunity capitalized on there by KT, but it's going to need more than that to get them over the line.
The big thing here is that KT needs to win the next Drake fight. There are 1k gold down, but if they can get a Drake fight or maybe get a Baron, could be an angle. Missing though.
Okay, Kuz was spotted, I believe, on that trinket. He's the one that thinks that they don't have the information. His grand entrance going to connect, and I don't think too much more is going to come of this. They do manage to clear out vision that Missing has collected. He's just hoarding information. Missing just has he's a database, man.
Yeah, nothing is missing on that database.
No, he's named completely wrong.
I will say though, it's like this is exactly how JDG want to play it. If Eddie did a great job of highlighting it coming into today, is like, hey, we want.
Rakan emang sepenting itu kah? Kan memang bagus aja Rakan. Sisinya banyak, mobility-nya luar biasa.
Potensi open war yang paling bagus soalnya Rakan. Ulti sama skill 2-nya tuh bener-bener kayak paling gampang kena banyak.
Kabur kemana aja gampang. Ngikut fight yang telat pun gampang.
If you can get them to invest these wards, as you can see on that top end of the map, it makes it a little bit easier then for KT to get a position on that bottom side. At the moment though, still heavy.
Di WildRift akan bapuk jir. Enggak sih.
Masih bagus.
Lihat deh, kalau lu lihat di TikTok deh ini. Rakan-rakan saya ngeribet aja di TikTok.
And what's really big is that with JDG having the vision control,
kalau yang mainnya bapuk nggak salah ya.
Right, like he can try and get away from either 369 or Kanavi, but if he's not able to position himself immaculately, which has been a really big issue for this player, which is why his Zeri and his Kaisa are some of his strongest picks. He won't be able to have a big impact in the team fights, and a lot of the gold is on him. BDD though and Knight both sitting on exactly the same items, Sorkpan boots, Shadow Flame and Ludens. They're basically dealing true damage to any non-tank that they hit.
Right now, we're about to go full A-Rap, though. You're going to see both teams trying to commit. And KT, yeah, they're just going to go for the Baron area again, try and put pressure.
Istilahnya kalau support Lain kalau mau make
they find a moment like that where BDD gets over the wall.
Istilahnya kalau support Lain mau make play, pasti udah di depan muka lu, udah di layar lu. Kalau Rakan bisa tiba-tiba ada dari nggak tahu ujung mana, tiba-tiba nge-engage aja.
Instead, KT just regrouping like you were talking about, bit of the K-Ram situation here. And I guess 70% of the players on the Rift right now do kind of fit the bill. We have seen this many times, Chronicler. Let's settle in, shall we?
The thing, though, is that JDG is the one who actually hold all the cards, because they don't have to go for this dragon. This is just an individual Cloud Drake for KT. So if KT over-invests, JDG just goes to Baron, takes that. There is enough vision, though, and we see Cuz and Lahan's looking as Keen is in a flank.
Yeah, huge flank position. There's the Magnus. Almost see what the...
Tuh, lihat tuh Rakannya tuh. No, sampai ke belakang-belakang dia acak-acak. Tuh, ada lagi knock up-nya tuh. Tinggal nunggu skill 3 sama skill 2. Mau masuk lagi bisa di. Nah, ini skill 2 udah ready nih harusnya nih. Tuh kan.
Mau ditangkap juga nggak bisa.
It is a miscommunication on KT as Cuz goes in so deep. Keen isn't there.
Skor berapa? Itu ada tuh merah sama biru itu. Baru satu sama.
Cloud Soul, Tari makin kayak itu. Makin gesetan larinya.
Ada Sivir tuh dragonnya angin banget. Udah tuh Rakannya tuh sampai ke belakang di knock up tuh. Kena lagi tuh. Aduh telat, lebih seru dari janji kemarin ya. Kayak seruan janji kemarin sih, 2 game pertama janji kemarin. Sisanya kayaknya sama-sama aja.
This ward will get turned off for now as BDD dealing with all of these ricochets flying in. KT are investing everything into this though. Keen TP, BDD TP. They desperately wanted to make sure that they were going to be on the map to contest this, but it does give an opportunity now for a 369 to say, hey, we're going to play it slow, maybe play it for Keen actually. Yeah, it does get slowed down by the dissonance there. Shockwave is going to Keen. Counter-strike comes in, but it's not going to be enough.
Ini juga nih.
Enggak, tapi gak mati sih itu. Sipir datang.
JDG are doing all right. Kanavi goes golden for now. Knight takes down BDD and it's on aiming. If KT are going to make this one, it has to be him, but he's dead already. And there's the shutdown to come through.
Mereka cepet soalnya ada Cloud Soul.
JDG, I think they've just gone to match point. They find their one opportunity.
Bentar, itu tadi 2 lawan 4 ya? Kan tadi di atas mereka ngegeng Jax-nya 2 orang kan?
Iya, di atas 2. Iya.
Terus Sivir juga telat kan?
Pikir telat kan.
Berarti 2 lawan 4 dong aja. Apa lu 2 lawan 3 gitu? Dibalas 2 game cepat sama mereka coy. Oh belum sih. Udah.
Udah ini udah.
An insane performance from JDG there again. Cool, calm, collected. The LPL #1 seed know once they get a chokehold on a game, they're not going to let it go.
Just an extraordinary performance, and you could see it from that first one team fight from JDG. The whole game, it felt like KT were fighting so far uphill. The early game, extraordinarily even. From that first moment on, when they all
Wis kalung bercincin bos.
were just too strong, and as they move to match point, we are going to head to break. So let's check out some of the behind-the-scenes footage.
Kalau emang
Yesterday's
KT
quarterfinal
mau lanjut
next to
kata
the
gue
Opera.
nanggung aduin scaling aja anjir.
Iya jangan main champion early ya.
Nggak dapat melulu dari tadi kayaknya. Jam 5. Gue udah dulu deh, Kut.
Oke, thank you Nardi.
Thank you, Kut.
Punggung T1 berat banget ini. Iya cuy. Harapan Korea di T1 nanti ini. Ini menang JDG sih kayaknya. Satu menang lagi JDG win. National Geographic Busan Travel Busan Metro City. Bukan Metro City aja, Metropolitan City. T1 besok. Best team song menurut gua Legend Never Die kali ya, atau Warrior ya, apa Rising ya. Bagus-bagus sih yang itu tonton segitu. Teka-teka kita kembali. Golden Road itu apa? Golden Road. Country Road. Country Road. Tut 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 tut.
Gotta check my squad, ain't don't eggy. Straight up pressure, buddy. Pushing in the side, yes, not yetties. Got the butcher date, working my studio and teaching it, cheating the funnies. Just got a big belly. Go to the shop in a big ticket. Now put the quality to the set and go. Don't put the nothing that's a little just on it. So she got that, don't got to the end. Pound Chong, she will use like when they give me. Top of that, get the jar, the side of 90, but not the money, gotta catch Matt, landing like, now push more side, got a stupid ass, right? What? 정신 차려놔야 돼 lesson 다 계속 바라보지마 지금 위에 chicken 난 지금 생각할수록 느껴지는 this is 두 번 세 번 더해져 mission another level check my EP cycle.
Kargo kok gak bisa masuk Kur. Coba aja cara mau di pesawat ke ganti data, ganti wifi apa gitu, restart. Golden Road itu menang di Regional Spring, MSI, Regional Summer, dan World di 1 tahun yang sama. Tim dari Cina yang lolos ke semifinals berapa Kur? Dua-duanya kemarin ini Cina. Bukan ya? Kemarin itu Bli itu dari Cina. Oh iya, terus yang kemarinnya lagi Weibo juga dari Cina. Sekarang JDG juga dari Cina nih, JDG juga mau menang. Terus besok sisanya tinggal T1. Apakah T1 kalau kalah T1 harusnya menang sih besok ya. Cuma kalau T1 kalah udah 4 Cina aja.
Looking for that opportunity. Well done, it comes down. There's the Magnus Storm. Yeah, King doesn't have a lot of options, and now Counter-Strike is on cooldown as well. In comes BDD though. King, can he actually get the kill there?
Tas. Cuman mati juga.
JDG Hook is going to connect there. Ruler going to be taken down underneath. As okay, Cuz is just going to get caught out. The Magnus Storm is going to be used. And there's the shutdown to come through. Cuz the last man standing. And JDG, I think that...
Weh, ya fight-nya udah imbang sih 50-50 nih. Nice.
Although they are in KT's house, it is JDG that moves on to match point to put yet another brick in that golden road. We set it up at the beginning of the day, and we also set up how difficult it is as a favorite to come out on top time and time again. And they were in fact put behind in the first game of this series. But then you see why we consider them such favorites in this tournament overall, Azael, and there are some players that are playing out of their minds, and I want to start with Missing in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. Missing and Kanavi, and we can kind of just jump into this Telestrator breakdown that I actually have for you guys, because we wanted to talk about the importance of Missing and Kanavi, their role in this game. So, you know, you just have to really track how Missing and how Kanavi are really going to pressure the backline here. And when we talk about creating space, this is what I'm going to be talking about. It's about target selection, it's about timing. So as they're flashing forward and actually going in, Lehen's flashes in, watch Missing here. Missing is going to pop his ult to use that for peel and then immediately flash forward and going to find an angle to go in right on the backline. So there it is, flashing forward, charms up aiming, and then he's going to continue that forward onto a charm, onto BDD. So now what does this do? It creates this situation in the backline where all of a sudden, what's happened to Cuz? Cuz has now been isolated. The carries are getting pushed back. That's creating space for 369, for Knight, for Ruler. Keen hasn't even really had time to arrive yet because they're so explosive with this engage. And then Kanavi follows through, pushes in towards the backline as well to pressure them back. Yes, he dies, but it is that sacrifice, it is that creation of space that allows them to succeed in this. And that is why I thought when Wukong got locked in, it was such an important pick.
Yeah, it was super important. I mean, this is a pick that Kanavi is known for. Like, if you want to win a game against JDG, you do not let him pick this Wukong. He's 21-6 on it this year, set with a 77.8% win rate. And you're looking at how much damage he's actually doing in this game. I also do want to call out, obviously, Missing's Recon. It's gone through all of these games. KT is going to have to find an answer for it going forward.
I mean, that's the thing. We came into today probably thinking they're gonna have to find new champions in the support role because Enchanters came back, but it's not even about this because JDG knows exactly what they want to do, and this is the deadly team that we know: Orianna, Wukong, Rakan. How do you access the backline when you have
Kemarin T1 lawan siapa? Gue nggak nonton. Kemarin nggak ada T1 cuy. T1 besok hari Minggu.
To fight JDG's composition here, and JDG, they're always going to punish the slightest mistakes, and this is what I was expecting from them.
It's an uphill battle for KT for sure. Let's talk about some matchups in specific, maybe starting in the mid lane. And Emily, about
besok kita nobar lagi ya. Besok T1 dek. Siapkan kuota, siapkan minuman, makanan, dan waktu kalian. Semua janji-janji kalian batalkan ya. Karena besok kita nonton T1.
After the game-winning team fight when they're pushing down mid, but it's him versus
besok T1 lawan LNG Suzo LNG Esport.
There were no like ways that he could get the poke down into like onto Ruler, right? Like outside of Ruler, you know, getting caught up a little bit, like there was no way with this composition, especially with all of the dive that they have with the Rakan and with the Wukong, there was no way for BDD to actually get in and do as much damage before he died.
And that's why I love the answer, right? And I love the play from Kanavi and Missing because they're the ones going for it. They're the ones creating that space. BDD got ultimate comfort. Like, this is his most played champion. This is BDD's famous Azir, and they were able to punish him. But I also want to talk about the top lane because I do think the top lane didn't go, you know, necessarily to how people were expecting it to be. 369, I think, came in. A lot of people were expecting him to really kind of handle business, but Keen, I think, has been playing very, very well throughout. And I think he's one of the big factors that is actually keeping KT so competitive in this series. But it did feel like finally for the first time that 369 was able to actually, you know, get something going in.
Dapat jatah berarti besok ya bang. Besok ada grand final yang gue nggak ada.
Wasn't playing as heavily towards top side in this one.
And that's what it was supposed to be, alright. Like when you look at this top lane, and especially the way top lane has been played so far, you wanna contain the pressure that the other top laner is gonna throw out you. When you look at the
tetap dukung KT walaupun udah kalah skor. Sulit sih dari 2 gameplay tadi sih kayak menang JDG sih.
I don't see Keen honestly coming on top of 369, especially given the way he's been playing for the past 2 games.
Ini nonton dari situ saya langsung dapat hadiah in game. Ada kah?
With 369, like what is he best at? He's best at absorbing pressure from his opponent and being able to show up in team fights later.
It is, and we said it already. JDG.
Ada ininya kah? Apa namanya? Oh, dropnya kah?
I don't want to count KT out just yet, but it's just the class that oozes from this team. Once they get into a comfortable position, and once I think also they force themselves into a comfortable.
Mari kita lihat apakah ada drop.
We heard Betty is talking about at the start of the day how decisive this team is, and that's one of the things I think really sets them in a class of their own is that they find one mistake, one window, they take the team fight, they pounce, and it feels like the game is just over. It never feels like you get that next chance to come back.
KT have to find the opening or they are out of the World Championship, and it would be JDG that moves on. Let's find out what happens in Game 4.
Gak ada ininya, dropnya cuy.
Thank you so much, Shox. And I don't know.
Mau lu nonton dimanapun ini nggak ada ininya, nggak ada dropnya kok di Twitch. Keras ini ya bang. Yoi, besok nih T1 nih. Besok Bahas nonton kah T1? Di itu maksudnya di venue-nya atau finalnya?
One thing giving a little hope was their expressions sitting at their PCs as they came out of the coach's booth. Looking a little bit in higher spirits. Maybe they got a plan moving into this Game 4.
And I think you need to against the behemoth that is JDG. I mean, Emily was touching on the desk. This is a team that was built to succeed. You've got 369 who has changed his entire play pattern from being a massive carry on top esports to taking a step back to allowing people like Knight and Ruler to take over. You have Kanavi who's doing so well with being able to play off the advantages that he can pick up from those lanes as well.
Whoa!
There, wow. Wukong immediately gone. I mean, that's kind of the perfect champion for Kanavi because he likes to play carries that can team fight. So I'm not surprised.
Gak nonton semuanya, gak nonton tiketnya ludes secepat kilat. Nonton di ini aja. Si Poltak kalau Bang Yos tahu dia besok dia ini mau nonton World ke Korea, tapi dia nggak dapet tiket, jadi nonton di jalanan ya, di venue-venue lain gitu, bukan di venue utama. Soalnya dia udah keburu beli tiket katanya. Suami istri berantem.
JDG, there's the Oriana. More than likely, actually.
Ini yang kalah pulang kak, yes. Deket kok pulang KT mah.
See if they can pick up the Aatrox for 369 on the top lane. He's been very happy for that, unless they want to try and separate him from it here.
I really like this though. KT just.
Kalau ada yang ngepick Kazik, kesalahan berpikir sih. Jarang sih ngepick assassin cuy. Apa assassin dipick ya? Paling kayak kemarin midnya kali. Kalau jungle assassin, kayak belum ada di pick ya selama gue nobar ya. Naik bus doang, iya naik bus doang ini pulangnya mereka mah. Wukongnya di ban loh anjir. Another Lulu cu. Oriana lagi, Rakan lagi. Woi Kaisa nih.
They're gonna pinch your champion pool, and I think with the Sivir performance as well showcased again that he plays plenty of AD carry champions at a very high level.
Busan ini padahal cuma 2 jam dari asrama. Tiketnya susah Bang Kuro. Busan ini yang yang lagi stage sekarang ini di Busan ya. Kalau yang di World nanti bukan di sini kan? Yang finalnya maksudnya. Wes udah pindah nih votingnya ke JDG coy. Udah pada ragu nih viewer gue milih KT. Tadi dia pick Lulu juga coy. Yang pas pick Lulu kayaknya menang tadi.
And more opportunities to polymorph a Kaisa who tosses herself in to try and find those fights. So I think BDD and the rest of the team are going to be very, very happy with how.
Rakan Oriana emang enak bang, tinggal naruh bola terus ulti. Iya juga ya. Tinggal naruh bola, Rakannya knock up, ulti, udah pulang. Tapi misal ya Rakan ini lagi proses loncat, terus di ulti sama Oriana. Ultinya itu di pas Rakan loncat atau pas di ujung skill 2 Rakan nanti ya. Soalnya kan ulti Oriana itu berprogres ya. Apa pada milih KT aja jelas jadi game monster. Iya, gue dari awal nobar itu viewer udah pada bilang kalau JDG ini kemungkinan yang bakal menang World katanya. Makanya gue bingung kenapa viewer gue hari ini pada megang KT ya. Weh nggak libleng dong. Nggak mungkin. Ya kali libleng. Paling ujung-ujungnya siapa ya mid yang belum dipick ya? Niko udah di ban. Siapa ya? Syndra. Ngeri banget cuy. Emang gue tuh pickannya tuh udah ngerti banget gitu gue.
On the world stage, this was one of the champions that he utilized when he went all the way against EDG. And
apakah akan diambil nih Kasante sama JDG nih? Kasante lepas terus gak pernah ada yang ngambil hari ini. Gragas is that fucking real bang? Wois, Gragas JDG mau ngambil skin Gragas kan nanti kalau menang World.
It's also just the fact that it's 369 Gragas. Like he's so incredibly good in this pick.
Mereka dukung bukan vote yang bakal menang. Oh iya benar juga ya. Harusnya judulnya itu bukan itu gue kasih ya. Siapa yang bakal menang guys? Iya besok kita tuker judulnya ya. Judul vote-nya.
And now he's completely transformed himself from the man that he once was into such a big Gragas connoisseur. It's gonna be a doozy in that top lane to try and beat Keen.
Gragas also, you're playing into 2 immobile carries on the enemy team. Both Syndra and Xayah don't really have a good way of dealing with the.
Gua baru Bang Kuro live nobar ngikutin proses lo buta banget. Gue juga buta cuy. Bahkan kemarin itu di nobar gue yang pertama ya. Gue kan nggak baca-baca komen nobar ya karena di komen nobar yang video udah ke-upload gitu. Gak ada yang gue baca. Kemarin gue baca ternyata dia bilang gini, apaan sih ini nobarnya? Tiap ditanya nggak tahu minimal riset. ya gimana ya, gue nggak ngikutin turni, nggak pernah tertarik sama turni gitu. Gue main AoV bertahun-tahun aja nggak tahu gue turninya gitu. Lagian tujuan kita itu nobar doang, bukan nge-cash anjir. Ini lol PC pula. Yang gue tahu cuman Packer anjing.
As it were, but we are ready, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to jump onto Summoner's Rift for what could be the final time today, unless KT can queue up the silver scrapes. Like you were talking about, going back to a similar draft to game number 1. More of a 4-1, not a 1-3-1.
Keras ya viewermu Bang Kuro. Iya, tapi dia komennya tuh cuman pas udah ke-upload doang, pas di live kayaknya nggak ada deh gue baca gitu.
Extraordinarily hard, and their pick potential is immense.
And I also think it gives you the control you need here as KT. Very strong mid-jungle 2v2. You burn an early summoner from Knight, that's a lane you can continuously revisit. You control mid, you control bot by default as well, where aiming the hands can continue.
Riset bang jadi inskripsi.
As long as you can track, which is what KT.
Lagian misalnya nih, pertanyaannya tuh sulit-sulit gitu. Bang, kenapa Kaisa di pick? Ya Allah. Apalah jawabnya ini anjing? Atau enggak, Bang, KT ini tim mana bang? Nggak tahu gua. Sekarang gue udah hafal sih, LCK itu Korea, LPL itu Cina.
Yeah, even with the early cooldown reduction, right, if you hit your E, still going to be the Jax at level 1 that needs to be respected as early fighting here.
Yeah, Lahans immediately has to use the exhaust. He's been ignited as well, as Ruler could be in trouble. Mordo's coming down and missing is going to be just coaxed out of the river for now. That's the bottom zone.
LEC mana? LEC Europe, karena huruf E ya kan? Karena gue bingung gitu. Kan Cina ya, kenapa LPL? Atas dasar mana huruf P di situ anjir? Kalau LCK kan Korea nih. Europe ada huruf E-nya. Terus LCS atas dasar apa? Amerika LCS gitu. S-nya itu South America kah? Tapi kebetulan di NA nih. Jadi kan gue bingung ya. Tidak konsisten gitu Riot ngasih nama turni. Inilah salah satu alasan kenapa dalam desain, dalam marketing itu dibutuhkan yang namanya konsistensi, supaya orang itu gampang mengerti gitu loh. Ini Riot tidak konsisten. Ya, LCS itu League Championship Series A. Di bagian mana tuh ada menjelaskan di situ North America? Nggak ada kan?
Doesn't actually know exactly where Kanavi is.
Oh, he's going to wait it out. He's going to try and catch him off guard. Or he might try to go for Knight.
I think it's Knight in the mid lane he's looking for. Lahens is starting to move up. Either way, it's going to be a mismatch, either mid or in this jungle setup.
Oh, Cuz completely unseen. He can blast Cone over, but instead the Vault Breaker...
Hey. Uish.
And now, it's a Smite War. Ward is in the brush.
Bang Kate, ke Smite. Tercuri bang. Tercuri itu bang. Oh, diganggu lagi anjir. Anjing. Sampai nge-flash cok. Harusnya bisa kill nggak sih sebelum sayanya datang? Nice. Wah, tapi mid-nya duluan. Waduh. Nggak apa-apa, masih early, nggak apa-apa.
Carries are able to pick up a kill, and a lot of summoners down here as KT, the early invade will end up.
Cina kenapa identik dengan Lesion Core? Tuh, pertanyaan kayak begitu tuh tahu dari mana gua anjing? Karena ada Jet Li. Namanya mirip.
Will push Keen away, but it means that actually if you look at BDD, he's going to be able to shove this wave in, get a much better opportunity in this mid lane thanks to that TP ward, and that'll open up KT to try and make
LCS itu dulu NA sama EU cuman dipisah.
Right, going in hard on Kanavi. This from Lahens though, a little bit over eager. I think if the rotation is already there, as BDD is in trouble.
Yeah, meanwhile in live you can see BDD.
Bahas dendam cuy. Nggak usah sok keras kalian ya.
The ground from Kanavi locks down the kill on the Syndra without flash,
Insect dari player NA Cemie. Tapi yang mempopulerkan si Insect kan.
I mean, if you had this sort of purchase up against a literal mana crystal for Knight, you would have been in such a good spot for BDD. But now Knight gets control of the wave, he's able to reset, and this is just a little...
Jet Li masih semarga amalihan Kakor. Iya benar.
Also seeing the fact that 369 is winning this matchup early is kind of insane. Because you're not really supposed to have this big of a lead early on, right? And it speaks to the mastery of the champion.
Tuh LMS ternyata Taiwan tuh. Wis. Wis. Ip, skill satunya bang. Wis. Sampai nge-flash.
And you can see there for 369, the whole way you play this matchup is...
Coba kalau namanya itu disamain kayak negaranya gitu atau regionnya gitu. Kayak Vietnam dia namanya VCS kan.
Waves in a terrible spot. Kanavi has good control, and now Kuz trying to respond to that play on the top side by getting Dragon on the bottom end.
Should be able to grab this, of course. Kanavi looking for a bit of a play here in the mid lane once.
Kena lagi nih mid kah? Enggak sih.
Nice scatter though. Gonna connect there from BDD. Gonna be able to space himself away from Knight and Kanavi.
Eldritch mana bang? Kok Eldritch anjing?
The one upside is that with Kanavi showing a mid wave, Keen actually gets to fix his wave state. We'll see if 369 is able to...
Bang, kenapa di WR Tele nggak summoner spell aja bang biar lebih kepake?
It's a win that they needed because thus far...
Nggak tahu juga sih.
Feels like JDG have been getting the
Nanti gue coba WA orang Riot ya gue tanyain. BTW Alan yang biasa di video patch note dia di ini guys ya, dipindahin ya. Dia pindah ke divisi game fighting Riot gitu katanya kalau nggak salah. Nggak ada lagi, nggak bakal ada lagi Alan. Tapi gue juga bingung sih kenapa banyak orang yang fans sama Alan. Gue kayak biasa aja. Siapa aja lah gue mah. Oh iya bener Project L ya. Tapi Alan itu kan dia juga orang baru kan kalau nggak salah. Jadi dulu ada orang lain, terus digantiin nama Alan, terus tiba-tiba banyak yang ngefans sama Alan. Video call syariah Gor. Yes.
Yeah, pretty nice job there from KT to actually stop the back. It interrupts Kanavi, who's now going to reset. Kuz going up towards his top side, wants to steal away the red.
Jagoan gua tim yang menang bang. Wah kebetulan nih jagoan gua lawannya T1.
The flash on the top end.
Wah anjir, saya perih cuy.
Be able to shove this wave in, go for that reset that we were looking for. Cuz's punishment is collecting the bramble back, and we'll be able to secure that one for himself. 20 seconds on the Rift Herald.
Kanavi also won't know because he's going for his Raptors first, so it means that Cuz's position, at least right now, not gonna get given away just yet. I do think though, with the fact that
ngapain tuh?
Is this healthy plus has flash.
Anjir.
For a gank opportunity without 6 feels basically impossible.
Kalian tahu nggak sih di TikTok sekarang lagi rame soal game fishing planet, dan itu ada satu sound yang viral banget soal fishing planet aja. Pokoknya yang musik itu isinya fishing planet semua. Gamenya gratis di Steam. Bang, kenapa Jax-nya nge-lag gitu? Mana nge-lag? Udah bagus itu dodge-nya. Maker sama Faker jago siapa Kur? Nggak tahu juga sih gue. Minimal reset bang. Maaf bang. Side step. Oh di HP juga ada fishing planet. Itu gara mancing lagi naik Kor. Kenapa mancing lagi naik? Apa penyebab mancing lagi naik?
Oh, Kuz trying to look for a punish on Knight here. But Knight positioning so safely. Yeah, not really an opportunity here. And yeah, if Kanavi is 6, I don't even know if BDD, even with the flash, will be okay there.
Jadi ulti. Weh, nggak ada smite. Bang, itu smite gue lihat agak kurang dari tadi kebetulan bang ya. Nggak ngelihat darah kah? Tapi ya udahlah, ya dapatnya Jax sih itu, bukan jungle-nya.
Keen just pokes his head in, says, all right, yeah, you're not gonna get this.
Secara mikro menang showmaker tapi makro menang faker, jadi captainnya decision maker.
Like, cause are you gonna actually try and move in towards mid? Maybe look for a play with BDD or
Bagus mana sama Dopa, guys.
just get as much gold as possible onto Aiming. If Aiming's able to control the pace of these fights, he's gonna be in such a good spot to be your carry. And he kind of has to be
Mahasiswa yang semester 5 kah? Kenapa masih semester 5?
to bring you across the finish line when it comes to these engagements.
I'd also be looking
Bukannya sempro dan skripsi malah mancing, makanya rame.
because we've seen in the last 2 games that going even just isn't enough against JDG with how well they team fight. You need to get more, and right now I think a second dragon would be a really big win. It's up in 40 seconds, but JD or 369
Tim Indo dulu siapa midnya abang-abang? Waduh. Henry apa? Henry dulu katanya Baron ya? Faker sama Jess no limit. Jago siapa bang? Jago Jess sudah nikah cuy. Faker telah menamatkan kehidupan.
United a little bit too close to the towers, so they don't want to overcommit towards that, especially with Dragon in just a couple of seconds. So they will just back away. We'll get the tower plates in the mid lane going across, and the control over River. You can see 369 has to back away because he's, well, actually, at least back further out of the lane, so he's not getting caught up by KT as they move down.
Do note that the only ultimate that isn't available right now is 369 his ultimate.
Di tempat lu hujan nggak bang? Enggak anjir, suara doang, suara sound effect gemuruh. Hujannya nggak ikut.
I think KT are just going to give this one up. I'm not able to find anything on the cross map either. Might get a teleport out of 369, but that is going to be all.
I was kind of surprised to see KT the way they skirted around the outside of the Dragon Pit. Like they got Rift Herald.
Ini dragonnya Champlain.
Really established themselves there, but they almost felt scared to.
1 match rata-rata berapa menit bang di LoL PC ini? 30 sampai 45 lah.
Hence just being as frustrating as possible with repeated glitter lances. Aiming, farming out nicely though, has about a 20 CS advantage, making this Xayah matchup into the Kai'Sa still look pretty Xayah favored as Kuz looks for the Vault Breaker, doesn't connect it onto Kanavi, who will now make his way out via the chickens. Lens, not going to be able to do too much to missing here.
Disini's been doing a great job of trying to match the jungle pressure though, as maybe he needs it.
Yeah, that is his own chicken thrown back at him. I believe, did Kuz just manage to get that somehow?
I think he got it.
Mid KT champion apa? Namanya Syndra yang bakal rilis di patch 5.0 di WildRift. Udah gue bahas videonya. Silahkan dicek seperti apa skill Syndra. Nice dodge. Rakan punya skin buat ngetaun saya, tapi saya punya ulti buat ngedodge cinta Rakan. Anjas.
Gonna be a big win there. You're able to get a teleport out just in exchange for your ghost for JDG. See, BDD should with the Giga Cones be able to make his way back to his own lane very quickly. So punish isn't gonna be too bad. As Everfrost now done for 369. You thought the Gragas was annoying to play into before Keen.
Oh, gue kira tadi skill 2 set aja, ternyata item ya. Dikira kalau nongkrong biasanya pamer tier LoL KR-nya kalau lagi ngopi bareng. Anjir, penting banget tuh. Pamerin ini tier Mobile Legend, Bang Yus.
You kind of want to get to a position as Keen where you can just ignore the damage from 369 and take towers, but since we've kind of seen that swap over to the AP Gragas build versus what used to be the tank.
Naon sih Kur? Apa sih kita lagi bahas apa sih? Itu VTuber nggak pakai passenger lagi ya? Kenapa jadi suara bapak-bapak? Kasih tahu gua kapan suara gua jadi kayak cewek. Wush, anjing perico. Tapi masih hidup loh. Mamam tuh lulu. Ulti kok buat diri sendiri. Ya Raka, ya listennya oke masih ada flash.
It's a whiff from 369. He tries to flash bodies on flash onto Aiming, but only connects with Lehens. And Aiming then is free firing the entire time, even missing, going 2 different directions with Knight. It's an absolute disaster.
Yeah, Vault Breaker is going to get him out of there. That was BDD though. He would have been dead.
Yeah.
Oriananya crown. Iya. Cuman di PC crownnya nggak kayak di WildRift sih. Di PC crownnya itu cuman reduce damage doang, nggak ada efek bansinya. Seingat gue ya. Apa ada guys? Nggak ada kan ya? Cuma reduce damage doang kan?
Is with the polymorph, there's no ability to flash, and as you point out, 369, the exhaust I think really big, allows Lahens to live for so long, even gets the knock up onto Knight, and that allows KT to trade favorably in this fight.
Not being able to actually get onto aiming, as you say, is like, it's just so difficult. He's got so much damage. Now missing, has to back away. They're trying to move into position here to take over mid.
And Herald actually being picked up because of that earlier play by KT, who are looking to take control.
Nah, itu Darius Alvio juga di Korea tuh dia. Korea Utara tapi dia.
Maybe we will have to find Silver Scrapes, but 369 has something to say about it. They take the Featherstorm from aiming. Thankfully, he was able to press the button.
That's now aiming without ulti for the next dragon, though. And I think that's the timing that JDG were trying to look for. It will be a very small opportunity. You still have flash there for aiming as well. But if you can get missing with a flash of his own onto position, onto aiming, as the dragon spawns, that's what JDG will have to try and play for here.
And it's Chemtech Soul and 3 apiece for both of these teams on the board. I do think that these crazy powered up plants
Baru sadar lu kapan debut Kur, udah November ini. Antara akhir bulan ini atau awal bulan depan.
I love the chaos. Yeah. It's just weird.
I mean, before we got into this, you were talking about like, oh, I want a Chemtech Rift so I can have BDD on Nico.
Yeah, but we wanted the Nico. Yeah.
But I was gonna say, you can do that for Missing, where Missing ends up just blasting itself into position with.
Ini Turnilo ada tim Jepang nggak sih? Tim Jepang itu yang mana ya? LJL ya guys ya? Ada LJL.
So far up, he still doesn't have his flash available.
He's gonna be dead.
Oh no, Missing is going to show himself. BDD tries to scatter to get him out of the way, and he's not going to avoid this one. He's just going to get taken down. Didn't have a stopwatch, and even if he did, he would have just been dead. And now it is going to be a Drake for JDG, you have to assume.
And Missing never committed the ultimate, so he's still in a position where he can
Di Indo jarang ya event turnamen LoL ini. Soalnya baru pindah ke Riot guys. Mungkin tahun depan dimulai kali, tapi nggak tahu juga. Soalnya pro playernya udah nggak ada lagi sih. Udah ke WildRift semua. Nggak semua sih. Udah pada ke WildRift, ke mobile sebelah, ke game PC MOBA sebelah, pensiun, ada jadi pro player game Babaji.
Okay, in they come. Keen looks for it. It's 369 that they go for first. Scatter the week does come through, and there's a cease and desist. Gameplay button comes in, and that is 2 for free for KT.
It's a 2v5. Well, JDG were like, we can take this, and that is.
Kenapa Nakan yang nggak kena? Kenapa saya yang nggak kena knockback tadi ya?
And they'll move to mid to defend the tower.
Knockback skillnya si ini Gragas. Anjir susah betul kill dia.
Missing might be caught out. It's only cuz though, so should be fine. Eat some fruit.
Yeah, are we ever like
never dies, man.
He just doesn't
We're giving it to the chaos of the rift. I love this. Let's go.
That's my Chemtech Rift.
They do manage to take the outer turret in the mid lane. Definitely good news. A lot of things really opening up around this map right now.
Jepang kuat di turni game apa? Tetris.
Another Featherstorm put straight on cooldown. There's the kick, goes through Lahens. It's nicely done there. As Keen dives in, Kanavi might be out of position. He should have a safeguard relatively soon.
BDD.
And now the scatter the weak.
Wajir. Wabas anjir.
The mega cone to disperse the players, and now Cuz could be on the wrong side of this. Missing, lurking. Lahens finds him. And a grand entrance comes in. I mean, we're not going to be engaging on this one. Just buttons being pressed all over the place, gentlemen.
I think JDG needs to cool it on the button pressing, though. You TP to the top side, you completely mess it up. Then you try to make this play here, completely mess it up. Calm down with the button pressing, even the right clicks as well. Give yourself some time to get back.
Nah gini dong aktif. Udah menit 19 soalnya.
Particularly because this is exactly what KT wants, right? This is, I think, a composition that excels if they can pick off targets one by one. Use the CC chain that they have.
Era 8 tuh bola-bola. Syndra nanti di WildRift rilis di patch 5.0. Gue pengen lihat replaynya deh yang pas di nahan turret di atas tadi. Gak dikasih lihat ya.
Allow JDG to fight or to play the game.
Iya Syndra, emang gue tadi bilang Lissandra.
Have a counterplay available when someone is attempted to get picked off.
Also so good at keeping people alive on KT with like aiming, being able to get out. You got like the opportunity for Keen to leap back out. Exhaust.
Kenapa nggak di 4.9 aja Kor? Kan udah beda-beda tahun ya. Jadi naik patch gedenya, angka depannya.
Kill someone if KT are going for these dives. So at the moment, JDG again missing on a mission to get in behind Kuz, but Kuz, what can he do here?
Wait, who's flanking who?
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone's flanking everyone.
I'm losing track.
Lehens is flanking missing while Kanavi is flanking Lehens and Ruler is killing a ward. Kuz is still here. Of course, finds a Vault Breaker onto missing, not the target. Cease and desist actually going to be invested here. Bad dead. There's the leap strike. Keen's gonna lock it down. I thought I'd never see the day. The missing's over.
Kayaknya ini menang KT deh di match ini.
The flanks were a puzzle and we just couldn't see.
Kayaknya emang mending pakai Lulu aja nih supportnya.
Bring those pieces together, and they brought them together in front of the Baron as well. And I don't think they can immediately turn over towards this, but this
bawa hoki nih Lulu nih.
To set up vision and start to push JDG back.
And they do need to clear out control, because if you look at the minimap, look at how much vision there is still available here for JDG. So even if KT was like, okay, missing's dead, we want to try and go for something, there was plenty of opportunity to try and punish.
Padahal belum masuk meta. Belum boleh dipakai di patch ini kayaknya. Di turninya. Dapat ya? Dapat smite-nya.
Big kills on towards Kuz, 204. He's going to be able to put the herd onto Rooter, focus him down. And when you look at the opportunities for JDG to try and play it back, you have to burn so many different things before you can really get access to people like aiming. When you've got the wall growth, exhaust, flash, the ultimate for the Xayah as well, it's so hard to just kill aiming.
Mati lagi nih Rakan nih.
Yeah. Well done. Nicely done. And KT is going to get this mid lane in order. I want to go back to that chaos that we had before. That was crazy.
Give it 30 seconds. We got next dragon.
There we go.
Halo Perich, terima kasih telah memutuskan untuk jadi membership Perich. Gila ini sih Vi-nya sih kemana-mana anjir. Ketemu siapa di engage, ketemu ini engage anjir. Ya, anjir tuh lu lihat tuh. Rakan lagi nih yang mati nih. Agak capek juga sih lihat Rakannya mati terus ya. Anjir. Mati berapa Rakan? Mati 2. Udah boleh kabur sih bang, udah boleh kabur sih bang. Dikat nih. Enggak. Gak ada ulti sih dia.
My goodness, it's just so much damage. And that's the thing, BDD is getting to a position with the Shadow Flame where he hurts like hell if you give him that opportunity. Still, looks like JDG, they're gonna like, right, second dragon for KT, it's a Chem dragon, we don't care, let's try and get this play on the top side. But immediately you're seeing the response coming through from KT. Xayah starting to lean in towards this top side, Lehens covering for Kanavi coming over the wall.
Ojeng, mati. Aduh, kurang satu bola lagi, cuk.
Didn't quite calculate it. And now he just teleported back, so he's gonna have to
Gokil damage-nya ya.
some of his health from these big old honey fruits.
Gak bakal bisa lu bunuh itu mah. Aduh, turret bawah bang. Mamam nih turret.
For the next wave, we'll see if Keen is able to actually pick himself up. He gets the inner. That's so much gold.
KT is looking like game number 1 again, controlling the map, dictating
Sakit cok, Syndra anjir.
Aiming and Lehens having control over the bot side means that Rooter just isn't that big of a threat. And now Kuz.
Ulti. Udah tahu cuy. Tapi Syndra harusnya nggak ada ulti. Oke, di teleport. Kayak mending cabut aja. Oke, kena Everfrost. Woi. Apakah ini menjadi penentu, cok? Syndranya, cok. Sayanya datang, lisinnya mati karena di ulti Jax ya, cok. Nggak, ini menang KT sih kayaknya, guys. Nggak tahu kalau ada blunder gitu ya. Hujan. Wajing. The fuck? Wah, Ini yang gue bilang tadi yang bikin comeback coy ya. Anjir, mampus. Mamam anjing. Itu dia momennya. Ini dia momen yang gue bilang cuy. Ini bukan soal ruler, ini JDG naik ini yang bikin darah habis anjir. Tuh. Dia taruh bola di situ, habis itu skill 1. Habis lejeng. Kaisa mah besetek doang anjir, ngapain? Ini networknya langsung ngedrop ini anjir.
Top side, Keen was trying to stand guard, and Ruler just the absolute lack of fear just to E in there as Kaisa.
Oh, masih menang gol. Tadi kayak gol beda berapa ya? 5.000, 4.000 tadi kayaknya. Sekarang sudah 1.000 nih.
Just outside of vision to find this big moment to strike. It was at a dragon. This time once more hiding just over the wall with another orb of a different description to set up a play that might have just taken this game out of the hands of
Tuh langsung ngedrop cuy itu barusan tuh. Tapi naik lagi golnya, dapat apa tadi? Banyak minion kali ya, jadi naik lagi golnya.
But it really feels like momentum has shifted. The Rebel Baron power play is still continuing to tick northward. This could be up to 3,000 as this inner turret is going to be taken down. There was a lot of standing gold on this map, and you can see Cousin BDD are in the top lane. They're going to be able to take this inner turret, but the inhib...
Enggak sih, bakal menang bawah duluan. Kalian mau nge-speed atas pun nggak bakal bisa sampai Nexus, kalau bawah bisa anjir. Ayo ganggu Gragas, ganggu recall nggak sih Bang Gragas? Oh nggak mau bawah juga, cukup sampai inhib doang ternyata. Oke, habisin jungle-nya cuy.
He's playing this so safe, hasn't seen them reset, so gonna just back it on up. JDG clearing out the spot side jungle as they go. Do they find Cousin BDD?
I think they spot them on that with that control.
Wait, who finds who?
Are we flanking who and stuff again? Dagger, I'm confused. I'm not sure quite what's going on here.
I don't think they can get to Ruler. No, with the speed up. But maybe it allows KT to take some control here. But it looks like instead JDG just gonna get everyone out of there. Extraction successful. And the gold and dragons will be dead even as we go towards this next Drake fight.
The items aren't so even though. Look at Ruler. 3 items now complete on towards this Kaisa because he benefits.
Pada nonton di Mari di sebelah setnya toxic. Pada ngatain apa Cowi? Di official pada toxic. Kabur cok. Anjing recallnya di situ. Wah bangke. Nggak ada vision kah sebelumnya? Lah. Nggak ada yang mau datang ya. Nggak ada vision sama sekali ya. Iya sih.
And it will mean that they're able to make their way over towards the Dragon Pit first here. This is just for soul points. KT have a lack of control. We'll see if they want to try and go for this nonetheless.
Look how little was used though. It's only the ult from BDD.
Bang, aduh di ulti nih. Aduh kabur bang. Jangan sampai kena end. Oh nice. Itu damage siapa aja Oriana ngin. Sakit banget cok. Langsung habis Jax-nya loh. Bukan Jax, siapa tadi ya? Oh Syndra ya. Oh nice. Awas Oriananya nih coy.
JDG are able to get the 2 for 2. They're able to get the dragon, and it's these magnificent plays, the individual performance.
Jax udah sibuk sama minion cuy.
Massive in game 4.
I guess it was a 2 for 1 because 369 was already
there. Exactly, and the big thing there, I think the call from KT to try and fight 100% correct. You might not get another opportunity where you are fighting.
Tuh, bikin void stuff cuy.
From BDD, even with stopwatch available, you can't do that against JDG. They are not going to mess up the timing. That shock.
Oh nice timingnya dia ya.
So perfect. So BDD doesn't get to flash it.
Pixel perfect apa? Pixel perfect anjir. What the hell?
This man does not have cleanse, but he's willing to put himself in harm's way to get the kill onto the Sindra with Kanavi. Then
Agak nafsu ya lisinnya.
that's revving up that counter strike to take him down. He's been so clutch with his positioning on this Kaisa. It's insane.
Well, they just briefly got notice of missing. He's by himself all the time, so they may not have expected.
Wis, nggak kena. Mundur lagi.
4 members of JDG just roaming the KT jungle right now.
Nah, tuh.
Tides have turned so incredibly
Nggak mau
quickly
dia, coy.
in favor of the LPL first seed here. They are bearing down on KT now.
Dia lagi deg-degan nih mereka, cuy. Semua, cuy. Oh, lu lihat rakannya. Nice, dapetin. Nggak bisa. Waduh, Jax yang nguber-uber Oriana, cuy. Oriana kalian, jing. Masih ada flash kah? Adalah siap, boy. Bantu, cuy. Rakan. Nice, Rakan. Nice. Aduh, Gragasnya juga kena. Rakannya sibuk nih ngurusin Gragas juga nih. Ada Gragasnya. Kabur, Cok. Oh, nice. Oh, jing. Oh, nice. Wah, nggak expect sih itu dia, Cok. Pas banget bomnya kelempar ke sana ya. Terus ulti V-nya juga lagi jalan.
Might have gone a Baron, but instead it's just going to be a 1-for-1 trade.
But they have to give up control over the Baron. That's the Nexus turret going down. Baron is in 8 seconds. JDG are back on the map and 369 is TP. They need to deal with this wave while keeping pressure on the Baron area.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well KT to sacrifice.
Pada ngata-ngatain rasis kah itu? Cowi di YouTube-nya. Kita lihat komen YouTube-nya nggak sih? Mana komen YouTube-nya? Anjing kecil semua, coy, gimana bacanya? Dapat sih, smite-nya tolong dijaga. Oke, nice, mati juga itu. Jax mati, Jax sudah nggak ada lagi. Maksa banget dan nge-basic attack orang lagi skill 3 begitu.
Shutdown onto him, they take a blue buff, and now JDG just looking to press ever further forward with their Baron buff now in hand, with a big gold lead starting to build. This is really feeling like the
10-80 kor. Ya ini 10-80 anjing.
Position for JDG right now though. None of them are pushed in, so at least for the moment KT will be able to hold strong, get the resets in. They need to buy time for Keen to come back up.
Baron masih ada 2,5 menit lagi. Ini beda kah sama Stats? Beda ini cuman BO5. Habis itu udah kelar sekali doang.
We'll see though, there is still 2 minutes remaining here for JDG. Bot lane inhibitor is now back up for KT, and that should be the first angle of attack for JDG. No turret standing there. Their Rebel Baron power plays have been impeccable. As missing, just mega coning all over the place.
It is a dangerous tool in his hands, absolutely.
Dragon apa warna hijau? Cimteng. Cimteng namanya. Cim apa gitu. Lu lihat, adu damage kayak sama ini. Saya. Mamam mati V-nya, goodbye. And GG guys, GG gaming. Di zoning doang malisin.
Mid lane inhib is going to go down. They do have 1 siege minion available. They're going to have to wait for some waves though as they're getting to work on this.
Goodbye KT, naik bis malam ini. Pulang-pulang. Dan udah 3-3-nya udah tim Cina, coy. Sisa 1 Korea T1 doang, anjir. Wih, langsung fokus Nexus, coy. Oriana, coy. Nexus, coy. Tuh lihat. Oke, santai dulu. Wajar. Wah. Dia minion. Set lur. Wes, ketawa-ketawa gitu. Emang boleh seketawa itu? Oh, dia lagi panik, cuy. Siapa nih? Lehens.
The way that JDG was able to play out these team fights and regain control.
Emang boleh seketawa itu masuk semifinal?
Chaos is remarkable.
What a moment. That is another brick paved The golden road still on the table, and here I just completely got it after this one. Him and Rapid Star certainly trying incredibly hard with KT this year. But JDG.
Wih, keyboardnya tentara aja loreng yo. Kencana, kencana, kencana ya.
A well-deserved bow. They deserve to be here. This was much closer than I think a lot of people expected. JDG just too good.
I think KT showed though that JDG can bleed. I mean,
T1 besok main cuy.
This game in game 4 was down to the wire. 1 or 2 plays that had gone the way of KT. And
Sisa T1 Korea cuk besok cuk.
could have been that game 5 moment for KT. And as you say, deserve it bow.
Gara-gara Baron pertama. Iya sih, gara-gara Baron tadi cuy. Aduh.
It's going to be in my nightmares for a long time.
Again, the fact that Ruler is just like, no, that's fine. I'll E in, because that can be also where you lose the game. KT, if they are somehow able, if they have a ward before, if they take down Ruler.
Kor lu dukung LPL mulu, ada sentimen kah?
The turning point really.
Bukan, gue dukung JDG karena dari awal gue nobar ini katanya JDG ini bakal menang World. Makanya gue dukung JDG.
Oh, that tells the story.
Yeah.
And that was all Ruler and Knight.
Kemarin-kemarin Cina karena lawannya itu apa? Kemarin gue dukung Cina karena lawannya itu ya NA gitu ya. Gimana NA anjir? Terus sebelumnya beli lawan Gen Z juga. Gen Z itu kalau nggak salah seed 2 ya. Seed berapa sih? Seed 3 Korea. Ya gimana mau berharap apa?
As you say, when you've got two of the best in the world at their respective positions in Knight and Ruler who can make that magic happen at any moment, it's so hard to not or to find any leeway against JDG.
Yeah.
Oh, set 1 dia. Anjir.
Also like just fun. Man, like these games were so incredibly fun. I can say it now. They were exciting.
Oh, kemarin gue dukung BLG karena ini gue ngarepnya 0-3 jadi gue cepet turu. Siapapun yang bikin 1-0 kemarin gue dukung biar gue cepet turu. Yang seed 3 itu KT. Oh, KT ini yang seed 3 ya. Jadi ya gimana mau berharap apa sama KT? Alasan yang membagongkan. Abis itu malah jadi 5 game anjir, kesel banget gue. Suka-suka kalian lah mau menang yang mana anjir. Oke, kita sudahi untuk nobar hari ini ya. Besok jangan lupa tandain di kalender kalian, di apa namanya, di alarm kalian ya, karena besok kita akan nobar LNG melawan SKT T1, adik-adik semuanya ya. Besok kita akan nobar T1. Gue yakin besok orang-orang pada mendukung T1. Tapi kayaknya gue juga dukung T1 karena saya tidak tahu LNG siapa. Tidak ada yang bahas viewer ya. Ya besok kita dukung T1 lah sekali. Oke, jangan lupa ya besok jam 3 juga nobarnya adik-adik ya. Thank you semuanya sudah nonton. Thank you yang sudah like, thank you yang sudah subrek, thank you yang sudah donate, thank you sudah super chat, thank you sudah like, thank you sudah share, thank you sudah menemani nonton sampai akhir ini. Kita bertemu lagi di live atau video berikutnya adik-adik. Jangan lupa ya besok jam 3 sore, oke? Jam 3 sore. Oke, ajak adik-adik, teman saudara kalian semua. Oke, dadah guys. You